Tenno finds himself resting beside a massive white wolf inside a mysterious forest. Realizing that endless trees surrounding him confirm he has somehow entered another world entirely. He buries his face into the wolf's soft white fur, laughing happily, despite the strangeness surrounding him, admitting quietly that its fluffiness feels comforting beyond anything he expected. Confused about his location, Tenno recalls that his mind went blank after something unexpected happened, remembering only that he left home for another day of work. Walking home after buying yogurt as his sister requested through text, Tenno suddenly noticed headlights rushing toward him before the truck struck him without warning. Sprawled across the crosswalk with 4 other pedestrians lying motionless around him, Tenno realized that the accident had swept up several innocent strangers along with himself, panicking over the unconscious bodies scattered nearby. A young girl wondered aloud what to do while Tenno quietly questioned whether any of them were even breathing. Voices around him argued that the incomplete summoning ritual might send the fallen heroes back to their original world, unless someone intervened immediately to stop it. A girl mocked the idea of brave heroes, comparing them instead to fictional protagonists from the comic books. Her sister always seemed hopelessly addicted to reading. Startled by the sudden commotion surrounding him, Tenno shouted out in confusion, demanding to know exactly what these strangers thought they were doing nearby. Simone shouted that another person had been discovered among them, while Tenno wondered why no one appeared even though a loud voice kept yelling nearby. Listening carefully to their frantic voices, Tenno concluded he was never truly meant to be part of their group despite standing near them earlier. Realizing that someone had foolishly attempted a summoning spell despite being only a novice, Tenno felt his body suddenly lurch backward without any clear explanation. Falling helplessly through blinding light with no sense of direction, Tenno reached out desperately, screaming internally as he wondered exactly where he was heading. As the light swallowed him completely, Tenno could only wonder in terror what fate awaited him on the other side of this ordeal. Tenno awoke sprawled awkwardly against tree branches, his body feeling sluggish and heavy, while he struggled to understand exactly where he had landed. Standing beneath the dark and gloomy canopy, Tenno felt his mood sinking further, wishing desperately he could shake off the strange, lingering sluggishness somehow. Remembering his sister's obsession with heroes summoned into other worlds, Tenno began questioning whether this wasn't the afterlife but an actual summoning ritual instead. He recalled his sister constantly narrating stories about ordinary people summoned as heroes, admitting he never once believed such fantastical tales could possibly become real. Standing alone among unfamiliar trees, Tenno questioned whether returning home was even possible, wondering uneasily if this unfamiliar place truly belonged to another world. Recalling his sister's stories about magic and demons filling other worlds, Tenno shouted in frustration, forcing himself to calmly analyze this bewildering situation instead. Realizing his own scream had echoed loudly across the empty forest just moments earlier, Tenno felt embarrassed, despite having absolutely nobody around to witness it happen. Walking deeper through the unfamiliar woods, he sensed something strange clinging tightly to his body, sliding slowly into him ever since the moment he had woken up. Desperately wishing he could ask somebody nearby for help, Tenno found only endless trees stretching out in every single direction, offering no comfort or guidance whatsoever. Wondering whether this fatigue came from some ancient curse or perhaps an evil spirit lurking nearby, he admitted this forest felt shrouded entirely in unnatural darkness. Pressing forward despite his steadily growing exhaustion, Tenno insisted that he had never before felt this uncomfortable or this thoroughly drained throughout his entire life. As his condition kept worsening steadily since the moment he woke here, Tenno pushed through the oppressive gloom, refusing completely to accept defeat against this affliction. Feeling something shift uneasily deep within his chest, Tenno paused abruptly, sensing that whatever had been clinging to him was beginning to stir restlessly. Recalling old stories where chanting could banish evil spirits, Tenno softly whispered a purification spell, hoping desperately that these strange words might actually work. Questioning whether magic and spirits truly existed within this unfamiliar world, he wondered aloud whether he had simply become a complete idiot chanting nonsense outdoors. Suddenly channeling unexpected energy through his own trembling hands, Tenno shouted the word purification, feeling his entire body respond as though truly recovering its strength. Watching a black haze slowly fade away before his very eyes, Tenno grinned in disbelief, realizing his strange incantation had somehow actually worked successfully. Clutching his head in complete shock, Tenno realized that an evil spirit had genuinely been clinging to him, confirming magic existed within this world. Before he could fully process this startling revelation, a massive beast's heavy paw suddenly pressed down nearby, drawing his attention immediately toward the ominous sound. Turning slowly around, Tenno locked eyes with an enormous wolf baring its sharp teeth, its low growl rumbling ominously through the quiet forest air. Standing completely frozen with fear, Tenno quietly whispered that the creature before him looked absolutely huge, towering menacingly over him with piercing golden eyes. Considering whether running away would only provoke the beast even further, Tenno quietly decided that fighting recklessly now would merely guarantee his own complete destruction. Noticing the wolf's legs trembling uncontrollably beneath it, Tenno introduced himself nervously as merely a passing traveler, hoping honesty might somehow calm the creature. The wolf suddenly lunged forward with a violent snarl, causing Tenno to recoil sharply while bracing himself desperately against the sudden and vicious onslaught. Watching the wolf collapse and writhe helplessly in visible agony, Tenno suspected that the very same black haze from earlier was now tormenting this creature. Despite feeling utterly terrified by the massive wolf's suffering, Tenno, being a genuine animal lover at heart, resolved firmly that he had to save it. Deciding cautiously that purification magic was worth trying again, Tenno reasoned that the same spell had already worked perfectly on himself moments earlier. Confessing quietly to himself that he was seriously terrified, Tenno raised his trembling hand toward the snarling wolf, hoping desperately his plan would succeed. Kneeling steadily before the massive creature, Tenno focused his willpower completely, releasing the purification spell outward while praying it would ease the wolf's suffering. A sharp burst of light streaked violently through the air, cutting across the darkened forest as the purification magic surged directly toward the tormented wolf. Watching the black haze finally dissolve away completely, Tenno exclaimed in astonishment that his spell had genuinely worked on the massive suffering creature. The wolf tilted its head curiously afterward, seemingly confused by its own sudden relief, before settling calmly down onto the forest floor beside him. Noticing dirt scattered across its fur despite its now impressive appearance, Tenno admitted the wolf looked remarkably cool rather than frightening anymore. Overwhelmed by sudden affection, Tenno grinned widely, admitting he desperately wanted to reach out and fluff the enormous wolf's soft white fur. As the wolf turned its head sharply toward him, Tenno tensed immediately, wondering nervously whether the creature intended to attack him without warning. Marveling instead at the wolf's exposed belly, Tenno complimented it aloud, genuinely impressed that a wild wolf would display such trust so openly. Noticing the lingering dirt didn't suit the wolf's newly impressive appearance, Tenno wondered aloud whether another spell might help clean it thoroughly. Chanting the word cleanse while picturing the wolf completely spotless, Tenno watched sparkling light wash gently over its fur, restoring its natural brilliance. As the wolf suddenly turned and began walking away, Tenno called out in surprise, unprepared for this unexpected and sudden departure. 200 years ago, deep in a quiet forest, a strange and creeping shadow spread across the land, swallowing every living creature hidden beneath its ancient, twisted trees. Breaking such a curse was never something any ordinary being could accomplish alone. Yet mankind still managed to find some desperate way to seal the darkness within those woods. Only the strongest creatures managed to endure the endless corruption spreading through the forest, while every weaker beast trapped inside slowly withered away and eventually vanished into nothing at all. Fenrir, the silver-furred ruler of the forest, declared himself king and admitted he had personally witnessed countless deaths unfold across 200 long years of relentless darkness. He explained that purification magic kept the corruption from fully consuming him, though chanting such spells repeatedly drained his magic power faster than his body could ever recover it. Fenrir slowly realized his strength was fading rapidly, since repeating the purification spell over and over again had used up nearly all of his remaining magical reserves. Refusing to surrender to the darkness, Fenrir let out a furious roar, blaming humanity for his suffering and vowing to destroy every single one of them before he finally perished. Consumed almost entirely by rage and corruption, Fenrir suddenly caught an unfamiliar scent, drifting through the trees, and instantly recognized it as an intruding human wandering nearby. His overwhelming killing intent exploded outward through the forest, shaking every tree violently, while an unsuspecting traveler continued wandering deeper into the cursed and darkened woodland. Akira Tenno, startled by the sudden crushing pressure surrounding him, turned sharply toward the source and declared he would kill whatever monstrous creature was hunting him down. Fenrir lunged forward from the shadows, snarling viciously at the frightened human standing before him, who could only freeze in place and stare back in stunned disbelief. Struggling desperately against the darkness spreading through his own body, Fenrir warned the trembling human to stay far away before his mind slipped away completely into corruption. Startled by an unexpected surge of blinding light, Fenrir froze mid-attack, sensing something strange and unfamiliar happening deep within his own corrupted, weakening body. Akira realized his magic had triggered something entirely unusual. Since the backlash Fenrir expected from casting purification, magic never actually seemed to arrive at all. Fenrir felt a strange warmth spreading steadily through his aching body, healing every wound, while Akira stood there, completely confused by his own overflowing magical power. Fenrir admitted he had never once encountered magic so precise, so vast, and seemingly limitless, contained entirely within the body of a single ordinary human. Despite his immense pride as the forest's undisputed king, Fenrir bowed without hesitation, becoming the very first creature to ever call a human being his masters. Scattered graves lined the forest floor in silence, standing as somber reminders of every soul lost throughout 200 years of darkness and unrelenting suffering. Beyond the surrounding trees, a solitary mountain stood watch silently over the slowly healing forest, marking the outer boundary of Fenrir's newly restored and peaceful territory. Akira's footsteps pressed steadily forward through the thick undergrowth, carrying him deeper into a forest that was now slowly awakening beneath a gentler, warmer light. Akira admitted the strange sensation felt surprisingly pleasant, realizing his newfound magic seemed to work smoothly, no matter what kind of spell he attempted to cast. Riding steadily upon Fenrir's broad back, Akira let out an exhausted breath, feeling the wind rushing past them as they traveled deeper into the recovering forest together. Fenrir suddenly halted before a dark cave entrance, prompting Akira to ask directly whether the massive wolf actually wanted him to step inside that ominous opening. Fenrir wagged his tail happily in response, clearly enjoying the attention, while Akira quietly admired how remarkably soft and fluffy the great wolf's fur truly felt. A deep growling sound echoed from within the shadowed cave, sending an unsettling chill through Akira as he stared cautiously into the darkness ahead of him. Nervous about what might be waiting inside, Akira chanted the purification spell aloud, though he quietly admitted he had forgotten to properly imagine the curse while casting it. Feeling uneasy about the cave's ominous atmosphere, Akira hesitated briefly before deciding it was probably best not to venture any further into that shadowy unknown. Fenrir shook his head, clearly indicating he already understood the joke, causing Akira to laugh nervously and admit he had only been teasing about turning back. Stepping cautiously toward the cave wall, Akira realized the lingering curse hadn't fully disappeared, leaving him uncertain about exactly how large this hidden place truly was. Akira wondered aloud whether this deep, secluded cave might actually be the place where another cursed wolf had been hiding away for so long. Without warning, a pack of snarling wolves emerged from the darkness, baring their sharp teeth threateningly while Akira stood frozen, uncertain of what to do next. More corrupted wolves surrounded him rapidly, growling with hostile intent, forcing Akira to quickly gather his courage and chant the purification spell once again. The wolves recoiled sharply as the purifying light washed over them, their aggressive snarls fading while Akira watched carefully, hoping the spell had truly worked this time. Startled by the sudden transformation, Akira realized the entire pack had calmed down completely, leaving him both relieved and slightly overwhelmed by what had just happened. Determined to finish what he started, Akira focused his mind firmly, imagining the curse fading away as he chanted the purification spell with renewed confidence. The purifying light spread rapidly across the remaining wolves, cleansing away the last traces of corruption, while Akira raised his arms guiding the powerful magic forward. Surrounded by softly glowing light, Akira stood calmly among the newly purified wolves, sensing that his strange magical power might finally be under control. Observing the pack closely, Akira noted with quiet curiosity that the group consisted mostly of wolves alongside what appeared to be one ordinary dog among them. The wolves reacted happily to his praise, wagging their tails eagerly, though Akira wondered with surprise whether these creatures truly understood human speech after all. One wolf shook off the dirt covering its fur, prompting Akira to comment on how surprisingly filthy the creature had been before he cleaned it up. Exhausted wolves gathered around him, panting heavily, prompting Akira to worry aloud that this endless purification process might never actually reach its conclusion. Sensing danger closing in, one wolf shouted a warning about protecting themselves from the curse, insisting they needed something called a barrier immediately. Akira pictured the three wolves clearly inside his mind, admitting the concept felt difficult, though he was determined to keep imagining it firmly anyway. Focusing intently despite the difficulty, Akira chanted the barrier spell aloud, watching as protective light surrounded him, and the wolves standing close beside him. Still uncertain about what lingered beyond their protection, Akira wondered privately whether this newly formed barrier could actually withstand real physical attacks as well. Deciding to experiment further, Akira called out another spell entirely, hoping enhancement magic might somehow strengthen the barrier against both physical and magical threats, turning proudly toward the recovering wolf beside him. Akira explained he had reinforced their protective barrier, assuring everyone they should now remain reasonably safe, venturing deeper into the sprawling cave. Akira admitted in surprise that the hidden space stretched out far larger than he had originally anticipated. Struggling to see clearly in the darkness, Akira wondered whether night vision or clairvoyance might help him navigate through the cave's endless shadows. Considering his options carefully, Akira decided spatial awareness combined with night vision could help him properly recognize the cave's confusing and unfamiliar shape. Concentrating fully, Akira projected the image directly into his mind, marveling at how startlingly real everything appeared despite existing purely inside his imagination. Determined to cleanse every corner of the hidden space, Akira declared confidently that he intended to purify every single inch of that cave. Immediately following that effort, Akira cast the barrier spell once more, sighing with relief as the protective magic finally settled successfully around them. Without warning, an enormous boulder loomed directly ahead of him, causing Akira to freeze in stunned disbelief at its unexpectedly massive size. The strange boulder trembled violently before suddenly launching itself forward, forcing Akira to react instantly and shield himself from the incoming impact. Startled by the creature's sudden aggression, Akira asked cautiously whether some kind of lingering curse might actually be affecting this strange living boulder. Watching the boulder rumble ominously nearby, Akira admitted nervously that the entire situation felt genuinely unsettling, unsure how dangerous the creature truly was. Comparing this encounter to his very first meeting with Fenrir, Akira wondered curiously whether this bizarre rock formation was somehow alive after all. Casting purification magic once more, Akira watched closely as the boulder shuddered slightly, though he suspected either the curse's strength or his own magic remained insufficient. Reconsidering his approach entirely, Akira theorized that picturing the curse as something stubborn, slowly chipped away piece by piece, might finally break through completely. A wounded bird flapped weakly against the ground, struggling desperately before finally collapsing exhausted and unable to lift itself back into the open sky. Noticing the bird's bloodied feathers, Akira gently cast his healing magic, carefully mending the injured cells before sealing the wound completely shut. Admiring the bird's suddenly gorgeous, colorful plumage, Akira laughed while wincing slightly, since the tiny creature's sharp beak had accidentally pinched his skin. Chuckling warmly at the small bird, now resting calmly on his hand, Akira admitted that despite everything, the little creature was undeniably quite cute. Tenno settles down alongside the huge beast, allowing himself a short rest after the long travel. As he regains his breath, the faint shine of the barrier catches his notice, though its purpose stays unclear. Soon a black shadow presses forward, attempting to break across the defensive power. Lacking delay, the barrier releases a sharp burst of energy, driving the threat back, whereas the wolves stay near. In the end, the distinct across the opening. Tenno seems relieved for the moment, deciding not to focus too much on the unusual magic nearby him yet, displaying no signs of fear as they rest jointly in the silent space. Abruptly, one of the beasts stretches and yawns loudly, reminding Tenno how odd this new world still seems. Realizing he must locate a secure location with food and water soon. Alongside the heart steady, Tenno selects to focus only on what he truly needs. Tenno resolves the cave might become a secure place to rest if he manages to purify it completely. Within, the unusual barrier continues reacting strongly, making him believe the dark shadow has a source deeper inside. Uneasiness grows as Tenno recognizes he cannot cleanse the area lacking understanding what lies forward. To distinct, he employs spatial awareness, magic, hoping to sense the cave's full structure. Dense darkness blocks the view, yet Tenno verifies there is more space past. Tenno recognizes he needs a special magic which lets him view the cave from a distinct perspective. An idea forms as he remembers aerial footage out of drones, giving Tenno expectation for a way to look from above. He attempts clairvoyance, startled by the abrupt vision that emerges before him. The magic forms a clear monitor-like view, and Tenno seems relieved once it successfully works. Out of the distinct, he sees an enormous rock mountain hiding the cave. Tenno weighs whether purification can power the dark curse to return back to its source inside the mountain. Active distinct, he releases purification magic across the whole area right following. He strengthens the barrier as well, making sure the wolves remain guarded alongside him. An unusual sensation spreads across his body, making Tenno uncertain if this power is truly magic or something deeper. Soon, and the forest nearby the mountain becomes clear and packed with fresh life anew. but shortly he senses the shadow returning from an unforeseen location. Gazing nearer, he realizes the curse is rising straight from the ground beneath the forest. Frustration pushes him ahead, and he prepares to purify the land anew with greater power. He expands the barrier farther and wider, attempting to drive the darkness rearward to its true origin. Following using so much energy, Tenno sits down exhausted, overcome by fear and the desire to survive and return home. Locating comfort as its presence helps peaceful the heavy mind. Distant away, an unusual magic stone glows within a grand structure, hinting that something larger is connected to the forest. Inside the palace, officials report unusual events happening past the city, drawing notice to the growing disturbance. A cloaked figure explains that white radiance has emerged profound in the forest. The active responds sternly, ordering further blood sacrifices to strengthen the magic stone. Active, the distinct strongest beasts are nearing the end. Sacrificed bodies lie still as the Empire proceeds feeding energy into the shadowy ritual. Past the palace walls, the forest stays quiet, hiding the growing corruption spreading beneath the trees. Officials question the abrupt shifts, learning that the kingdom has placed a complex magic eye spell over the whole region. The ruler reflects on centuries of sacrifice, knowing which countless lives were taken to maintain that risky control within the palace. The king is warned which the country may vanish like others before. Far away, Tenno wakes beneath the open sky, detecting unseen forces, still shifting inside the world. Stepping outdoors, he seems relieved to see clear daylight anew, though questions about the beasts remain. The huge wolf stays near instead of leaving, showing an unforeseen bond forming beside Shodes. Tenno smiles softly as the wild partner selects to remain with him on his travel. He resolves to give the white wolf a name, observing its shining silver fur plus calling it Koa shortly. He proceeds active the rest of the group. The little bird partner is likewise included, and Tenno names her Karen. After admiring her colorful feathers, pride rises in Tenno. While he believes he has a talent for naming, even whereas others seem unsure about the choices, Tenno reminds himself to stay focused on reality as the travel proceeds. The distinct react strongly to Tenno giving them names, realizing the human has treated them alongside unforeseen care. Amid the pack, they start viewing Tenno as someone with major healing and magical strength. Fenrir decide jointly which Tenno should be honored as the Lord. Grateful for shelter plus support, the direwolf accepts the orders of the group, plus prepares to trail Shu's path. Soon, Koa leads Tenno ahead, guiding him toward a place with water as their travel proceeds. Struggling to keep up as the wolves abruptly sprint forward across the forest. Despite passing the barrier zone, the pack proceeds moving forward, making Tenno puzzled but determined to follow. The group reaches an unusual clearing, plus Tenno pauses as he senses something odd in the air. Bubbling liquid emerges, and Tenno recognizes they may have eventually found water. The wolves react alongside excitement, whereas Tenno stares in astonishment, unsure if what he sees is truly real. Seems weak after the long chase, and even purifying the unusual water appears difficult for him right now. Still, he praises Kuro plus Shion for guiding Tenno securely, appreciating the pack's loyalty. Distinct reminds Tenno which he cannot continue employing purification magic until he properly recovers. Walking farther into the forest, he admits that relying on that water source may not be feasible yet. As he looks nearer, Tenno realizes the water itself emerged across magic. Tenno found he might create water just by imagining it, realizing the potential of the newfound magical abilities. Keen to test this, he tried to summon a bowl of gyudon, finished with toppings and sauce. The distinct failed, plus Tenno concluded cooked food couldn't be conjured straight. He noted distinct, summoning raw ingredients like cabbage alongside moderate success. Even so, chicken meat and apples vanished rapidly, making Tenno frustrated under the wolves' intrigued stares. Realizing that cooked food could not be feasible across magic, he intended to use a close-by rocky mountain as his base and weighed the need to secure its surroundings. Whereas walking with the wolves, he spotted mushrooms yet selected to avoid them. He noted the forest only to discover the trees provided nothing. No flowers, no fruits, not even nuts. And while hunger intensified, plus Tenno struggled to stay upright, surrounded by the concerned wolves. Tenno shifted at the sound of barking plus noticed Hyo alert and growling. Closeby, Kuro plus Shion arrived abruptly, joining in with tense growls as if responding to a threat. Lacking active, the distinct dashed off. Tenno called out, puzzled by the abrupt departure. Koa stayed farther back. Tenno attempted to understand the behavior, yet Koa only barked in reply. Was off. Tenno recognized Koa was noted, unsure how to assist. Tenno reassured Koa and proceeded the search for food, though he concerned the others could not return. His hunger worsened, and doubt crept in as he recognized he could not locate any fruit or nuts. Whereas wandering, a glint across the trees seized his attention, urging him forward. He stumbled upon a concealed cave and sensed a spark of expectation. Though this appeared ideal, Caution held him rearward from rushing in. To distinct the cave, Tenno activated the spatial awareness, keen to understand its structure. The passage extended high plus broad, with a tunnel sloping upward, sparking the curiosity. As he explored further, he observed even more space beneath him, plus sensed thrilled about settling there. Abruptly, howls echoed his allies had came back. Distinct washed above Tenno. That relief vanished instantly as the enormous monster emerged, making Tenno stunned in shock. Tenno asked if the wolves had carried the unusual beast for him, startled by their proud expressions. Distinct, nearer distinct, the monster shimmered oddly. This wasn't an ordinary creature, this appeared like edible material. Though hesitant, he recognized the effort, plus praised them warmly for the tough-earned gift. Even now, the challenge stayed someone had to prepare this. Resolved, Tenno employed purification magic, imagining a vacuum to clean this thoroughly. Tenno struggled as the curse clung stubbornly, next resolved to power it rearward to its origin. Following strong effort, the purification worked, transforming the beast inside a meal, earning praise from the wolves. He noted the creature, possibly a monster, wondering if this resembled Koa, who appeared oddly proud. Realizing the wolves couldn't bite inside this, he debated whether he'd need to butcher this himself. Before he might start, one wolf insisted they just eat already, keen to dig in. Active fast, Tenno searched for a way to keep the meat out of spoiling, plus cast a cooling spell. With the meat chilled, he readied for the next step, blood drainage. Whereas the wolves observed in confusion, distinct said indistinct was the weakness. He distinct active himself to handle this. He weighed employing water magic, yet feared it would dry everything out. While he hesitated, a troubling fresh idea arose: how would he deal with the insides? Following witnessing the within of the beast, Tenno staggered away, visibly nauseated by what he noticed. Distinct, the wolves became restless, wondering what was taking the Lord so long to serve the meat. He noted distinct active out the internal organs, unsure of how to approach the task. Realizing the physical limits, Tenno resolved to burn just the blood vessels with magic. Rather, the wolves, ready to assist, provided to carve this themselves if given the order. Tenno tried to burn away the blood vessels, yet the result startled everyone. Ash scattered above the meat. To fix the mess, he employed cleaning magic to remove the ash plus eliminate the powerful odor. Studying the monster's anatomy, he recognized how complex this was compared to anything he'd readied before. Noted by the mental images, he blinked away the thoughts, plus teleported rearward in hesitation. Regardless the distinct. The wolves rejoiced. The cooked liver smelled remarkable. Distinct latest spell exploded alongside a loud roar, startling the wolves while flames burst upward. The strong smell lingered, yet Tenno stayed composed, planning to magically clean and dissect the beast anew. Alongside wind magic, he shaved away layers of fur, startled by how effectively this worked. Satisfied with the portion, he reminded himself to cook this properly, plus invited everyone to eat distinct. The distinct let the distinct pick first, drooling in anticipation. Chai humbly neared King Fenrir, questioning to share in the meal, whereas pledging to support the forest's recovery. Fenrir praised Chai's wisdom, reminding Tenno of the role as king of the direwolves, plus their shared fate. Yet Chai, noted by distinct failure, dismissed the title, regretting the friends he couldn't guard. Fenrir lightened the mood, suggesting they use the gifted names, prompting a startled response from Chai. Meanwhile, Tenno assembled more charcoal, still working tough to finish the preparations. Tenno attempted different method, placing the meat on a stone, hoping this wouldn't burn like before. With focused intent, he cast magic to heat this, gradually employing infrared radiation patiently. He warmed the meat bit by bit, astonished as the aroma started to rise softly. Closeby, the wolves devoured their portions, though some stopped to watch Show's intrigued cooking technique. Noted by attentive eyes, Tenno quietly grilled the meal, savoring the peaceful moment. Tenno observed the meat sizzle, pleased with the choice to cook it over the stone. Active its golden brown finish, he readied to enjoy the last step of the long cooking effort. Though slightly burnt, it was cooked across. Plus Tenno provided thanks before taking a bite. Relieved by the taste, he smiled until the bird partner arrived for his portion. Noted, Tenno recognized the bird was a meat eater too, much to the dismay. To distinct, Tenno inspected the cave thoroughly. Distinct about the height of the ceiling, he envisioned converting that level inside a grand main room. By active this alongside the space he found earlier. Descending further, Tenno stepped into the first underground layer, broad plus tall past expectation. Though the space was quiet and empty, its unusual depth pulled his attention. Having verified no threat above, he activated spatial awareness, formerly more. Unsure of how long the defensive spell would hold, Tenno reflected on the need to understand magic more deeply. Distinct crept in, plus he clung to a single of the wolves, hesitating to descend. Encouraged by the allies and a little bird's gentle touch,
Tenno regained his resolve. Alongside a nod, he shifted ahead. Abrupt shift in the atmosphere seized Tenno off guard as he stepped downward. Distinct beneath the surface, a huge mass of shadowy curse energy stayed. Lacking hesitation, Tenno unleashed a purification spell as the shadowy energy lashed out, the wolves growling in defense as the curse stirred violently. Crackling radiance erupted upon contact, and Tenno narrowed the eyes the barrier had triggered. Radiance flooded the space, scattering the darkness, plus something altered. The distinct widened in astonishment. Versus expectations, the purification had worked peaceful came back to the chamber. Still, uncertainty remained nearby. Regardless, the distinct to distinct curse. No remnants or clues were left behind. Out of nowhere, a huge spider lunged ahead, its eyes glowing with hostility, plus its fangs bared. Distinct narrowed while he identified the creature. Pausing momentarily, he observed wings on the creature's rearward. A shadowy swirl seeped from the ground, and Tenno responded instantly, readying to cleanse the area fully. Active out of the distinct mass was a chief spider surrounded by a swarm of roughly 20 young ones. Intrigued and puzzled, Tenno inspected the creature more closely. A single of the distinct softly sniffed the insect, Tenno observed, startled by how resilient the tiny creature was following everything it had endured. Abruptly, the distinct leapt straight at Tenno. Seized off distinct, Tenno instinctively arrived at out to react. The small creature landed straight on the head. Tenno flinched but maintained his balance, whereas the others appeared on, puzzled. Moments afterward, its young scattered across a close-by wolf's rearward. A single of the distinct spun in circles, panicked by the spiderlings crawling on its rearward. Distinct, the huge spider observed quietly. Tenno glanced up while this judged the situation, apparently satisfied alongside how things were going. Active the next area. Tenno noted the second underground layer was broad while well. He noted being told visualization was vital, yet the earlier spell succeeded lacking forming an image. Intrigued, he resolved to distinct. Alongside no distinct and distinct, Tenno tried to distinct water lacking any mental image. Following pondering the outcome, he observed the still surface of a close-by puddle, reflecting silently on the result. Resolved, Tenno tried anew, this time visualizing flames plainly. Astonished by the effect, he experimented formally more, that time imagining water, confirming the pattern held true. He recognized which forming a clear image was the key to triggering new magic, and the flame even shifted with him. Formally linked to a word, the magic responded lacking needing constant visualization, a relief for the stamina. As he neared a narrow rock crack, wind flowed out of inside. Peering across, he found a spacious area within, free out of any curses though dimly lit. Attempting to brighten it, he summoned radiance only to blind himself and the wolves with an overwhelming flash. Following distinct to adjust the brightness. Tenno slumped down, exhausted, gazing across the gap. Tenno noticed shimmering stones embedded deep within the rocky wall. Abruptly, a spiderling fluttered inside the crevice, trailed by the winged chief spider. The distinct rustling echoed across the narrow space. Moments afterward, one of the little spiders came back and placed a silver stone in Sho's hand. Active distinct, the creature's presence sensed dignified. Lacking hesitation, Tenno started referring to this as chief. Though distinct of the stone's value, Tenno admitted this was elegant. As Tenno shifted ahead, his wolves whispered amid themselves, impressed by his unshaken response to discovering Mithril. With every paths explored, he announced the rocky mountain, fully conquered, proud of the progress crafted. Amid the few scattered belongings, he found an old wallet and some snacks, faint remnants of the former life. Distinct lacking useful tools, he wished for comfort plus convenience in the base he was constructing. A sore rearward reminded Tenno, which even heroes need softness. As Tenno touched the stone floor, this abruptly smoothed beneath the palm. The distinct responded loudly, startling Tenno. Unsure why they appeared so alarmed, he questioned what was incorrect. Active, the effect was repeatable. Tenno keenly started refining the rocky ground to improve comfort for everyone. The allies cheered, struck by his magical prowess. Distinct, the wolves admired the Lord's unforeseen skills. He chuckled softly, admitting to himself, which properly tuning magic truly wasn't simple. A distinct, the sky shaking the forest. Flames erupt out of its body while this rises, cloaked in fire, declaring its infernal nature to the world. This drags prey inside molten depths, feared by its own kin, ruling above lava with terror. Known while Tirenya, the Deathkeeper, its form brings certain doom to every who gaze upon this currently reduced in size. This reflects silently, having spent every its energy protecting its young, this survives barely. Tirenya emerged, puzzled by the abrupt vanishing of the shadowy miasma that formerly enveloped the forest. Across out of her, King Fenrir emerged, confirming her identity plus noting her weakened state with amusement. The group noted thoughts on the forest's purification, acknowledging the influence of a human's mysterious energy. Distinct skeptical at first, Terenia discovered which the human's magic was unlike the rest respected by the proud Fenrir's. Active Fenrir, peaceful yet stern, warned her if she opposed the master. Acknowledge the human, Sho, whose overwhelming magic softly healed, the forest lacking power. Worried, Koa insisted calm must be maintained, hinting he feared losing different forest king. Distinct slipped in while Tenno questioned for Terenia's children to stop harassing the dire wolf. Koa revealed the group had been named by Sho, declaring the fresh title with pride. Shu Active noted the Distinct he gave the name Chief, earning Koa's cheerful approval. Distinct embraced the name Chief, declaring this proudly alongside newfound confidence. Latter, Koa recalled detecting immense energy during a lightning strike, assuming it was different human attack, only to realize Sho's barrier had shielded them. The distinct of a distinct covering the sky appeared impossible, potentially draining any magician's energy in moments. Distinct at the prime, Koa admitted he couldn't handle such a feat. Yet Sho, peaceful and composed, emerged unaffected, making them all speechless. Tenno started to suspect he was alone in a world lacking humans, the thought silently unsettling him. For days, he scouted with the drone, whereas settling into the new shelter, but only forests surrounded him. No distinct, no homes, just endless trees plus animals, stretching past sight. Doubt crept in, yet he held on to expectation, believing untouched regions could hold answers. Distinct. Renovations progressed well, the magic refining the structure inside a livable sanctuary. Sha's new home emerged like a mountain outdoors, but within it held a 4-story mansion with 2 basement levels. Every floor had purpose, cozy bedrooms above, storage plus aura rooms below, alongside passageways designed for Koa's ease of movement. His allies cheerfully carried him food, though Tenno longed for someone who might truly understand him. Distinct, the beasts fiercely battled above fresh prey, particularly the organs. Recognized active might have ruined the nutrition the group sought in raw meat. Cooking above open flames carried momentary joy, yet constant meat meals left Tenno craving fish, even cursed ones. Koa abruptly responded to something unknown, bristling with intensity, while he growled toward the distance. Lacking warning, a cursed aura surged close by, stirring panic as everyone instinctively readied for conflict. Frustration peaked as Tenno snapped, overcome by mounting stress and rearward to rearward disturbances. Active, profound. He steadied himself alongside Koa, gathering focus atop the cliff's edge. Alongside a distinct. Tenno activated drone clairvoyance to scout the cursed terrain. Surveying the forest, he observed a lake outdoors, the barrier strangely clear, yet surrounded by miasma resolved. He proposed purifying everything up to which point, whereas expanding the barrier's reach. Koa responded in distinct, unsure of what Tenno intended to attempt. Quietly focusing, Tenno visualized magic, while a thread reaching toward the lake, alongside confident resolve. Koa barked in alarm, detecting an overwhelming surge of magic, constructing up out of Sho's spellcasting. Arms raised, Tenno expanded the magic outward, stretching this to cover the land plus even the earth beneath. With fierce determination, he activated the spell, declaring the barrier plus purification to start simultaneously. Distinct burst outward, engulfing the cursed forest in a cleansing radiance, noted plus smiling. He verified the expansion worked, feeling noticeably lighter afterward. Koa noted Shu's unmatched strength, while Tenno observed the curse flowing in across the water. Active was generating the curse. He intended a barrier-based filtration system. He noted to push the curse rearward daily, until the source stopped this entirely. Distinct. At Invalus Imperial Castle, tension silently shifted toward an unknown response. Out of the distinct, Gamirs observes the silent streets, reflecting on the kingdom's stillness. Distinct shortly arrives, breaking the peaceful. The active is brief. Mislost reports no sightings of risky creatures. Once questioned Distinct the forest, he shrugs, wishing something would stir to break the routine. Alongside a distinct trusts in the king's barrier to handle any threat. However, Gamirs stays uneasy about the unusual radiance seen days earlier in the forest. Gamirs reflects on the abrupt shift in the forest, questioning the aged myths and the true energy of the forest kings. Distinct brushes off the worry, mentioning the expanded survey, while a precaution Distinct in the kingdom's defenses stays high, rooted in trust in the king plus mages. Yet Gamirs warns about the increasing threat outdoors the barrier, detecting unrest. While distinct, Gamirs stays behind, pondering the significance of the magic stone. A distinct stone found in ancient ruins radiates immense energy plus anchors a powerful spell keeping the forest in check. Rulers sustained by that artifact halted the aging plus secured authority for centuries. Doubts start to form. One fragile object upholding the whole kingdom appears implausible. Lacking warning, a procession of beast-like beings emerges, quiet plus steady in their march. Unnoticed at first, they had previously infiltrated profound inside the capital's heart. A crowd of beastkin shuffles ahead, drawing notice for the sheer number distinct out of bystanders, point out the odd scene. A single man distinct there is no business being done. He's merely passing across. Surprisingly, 50 beaskin were recently provided to the stone, making the stock nearly empty. Which distinct was necessary, he claims, though the tone grows careless. Distinct while he prepares to leave, something unforeseen catches the commander's eye. A heavily armed man steps ahead, startled to locate the first chivalric commander in such a place. Distinct of the Fifth Order, introduces himself alongside a confident smirk. Distinct comes rapidly renowned for battle frenzy. Even amid magically enhanced troops, he proudly reveals a sword gifted by the king, increasing deadlier alongside every drop of blood. Distinct to test this on slaves. The remark earns a sharp warning to restrain himself. Noted by the distinct of the beaskin, Gamel ignores warnings plus lunges in sword drawn. Lacking distinct, he slashes a single of them down. Grinning wildly, distinct pools across the floor, while terrified captives shrink rearward. He distinct pleased alongside the weapon's energy. Increasing bored with the passivity, he complains which the slave crest dulls the energy he wants to harvest. Distinct responds sternly, urging Tenno to proceed if he insists, no patience left for games. A distinct realization sets in order is slipping, plus chaos seeps inside the heart of the kingdom. Distant away, a young man weaves a fishing net out of vines. Smiling below the open sky, active the distinct. He shows how meat can attract prey. Laughter breaks out while one of the animals playfully snatches food prior to it is employed. Alongside distinct expectation he sets off, wondering if the stream holds any fish today. Clouds gather overhead, casting a heavy shadow, which mirrors the abrupt unease. Frustration spills out expectation crushed by disappointment as he collapses alongside his allies. A moment afterward, he steadies himself plus prepares to act determination in the eyes. Distinct to distinct the noted water falls short. The distinct struggles versus the taint. Plans form rapidly cut off the flow and isolate the source, before attempting to purify it anew. Distinct to filter the upstream water had limited success curse, energy stayed widespread, plus persistent distinct sets in while he sits, overcome by the scattered contamination. And distinct what if the curse particles might be drawn like dust to static? Alongside distinct, he distinct a charged layer spreading across the lake's surface, activating the spell. Shadowy distinct proof the method worked. Distinct lights up the face in silent triumph. A distinct of revulsion hits, while shadowy sludge rises in clusters, polluting the lake's surface. Rearward at the castle, subtle shifts in the magic stone draw the notice of the court mages. A faint disturbance is detected. A single mage narrows the eyes, tracing its direction with suspicion. Distinct the young man, an enormous blob of curse energy looms. Unstable plus heavy. With resolve, he channels the spell to send this all rearward, aiming to return the curse to its source. The active distinctive curse energy bursts skyward, twisting violently prior to vanishing. Quietness soon descends, distinct. Even now water reflects the stunned faces of man plus beast alike. Comfort gradually takes hold. Distinct seems distinct, yet he knows full restoration will take time. Alongside distinct lifted, he heads home cheerfully, unaware which distant eyes remain watchful. Rearward in the distinct, the mages recoil the stone pulses, reacting to something this shouldn't. Distinct across the mage's face, while the crystal responds to an unknown disturbance. Little cracks form signs that something profound inside the stone has been unsettled. Far away, distinct conclude routine matters, unaware of the shifting balance beneath the feet. A single distinct stays unimpressed, demanding results tied to domination, not mundane updates. Distinct alongside ambition, he declares the intent to wipe out the Beastman nation next. A distinct inside the hall, shouting an emergency news of a crack in the magic stone spreads instantly. The king reacts with astonishment, doubting the report regardless the defensive barriers in place. Yet confirmation follows an unusual flash. Next, unmistakable damage etched onto the stone's surface. Lacking active, a guard is struck down by a mysterious power, collapsing in front of everyone. Gamir stands silently, disturbed by the blind obedience nearby. Tenno truth suppressed beneath fear plus silence. The commander of the 4th Chivalric Order steps ahead, awaiting the next directive while tension rises in the hall. Lacking hesitation, the king orders Tenno to investigate the forest, plus uncover the origin of the disturbance. Lacking warning, Tenno crashes down from the sky, landing tough beside a huge white wolf in the forest. Rearward within his partially constructed shelter, he watches the sky clear as his wolf companions gather nearby. Employing a distinct grill, Tenno roasts thick chunks of meat above an open flame. The distinct overlooks the trees, providing a peaceful backdrop, whereas he prepares the group's meal. At last, Tenno offers the keen wolf a rare cut while a little reward. As shortly as Tenno handed over the rare meat to Koa, the other wolves became restless and required their share. He noted out to Chai, the distinct amid them, offering a slightly smaller portion to be fair. Chai, unsure yet hopeful, stepped ahead plus accepted Shu's gesture with gratitude. Dinner rapidly shifted into a lively feast, making Tenno considering an extra stove next time. Following the meal, he sank inside a warm bath. Eventually able to relaxing in the bath, Tenno reflected on how magic crafted it feasible to create plus heat water with ease. Though he missed having soap, he was proud of the bathhouse, plus wished the wolves would join someday. A single dream even now stayed a proper toilet, something he'd long wished for. He recalled the distinct of going alone inside the forest just to relieve himself. Currently, with magic shaping even rocks, Tenno might eventually avoid those awkward, risky trips. Koa was astonished by the magic-powered toilet, particularly its washlet plus automatic cleaning. Intrigued, he noted within only to startle Tenno mid-use, triggering a loud scream. Feeling guilty, Koa became gloomy, thinking Tenno currently resented him for invading the privacy. Afterward, Tenno started experimenting with mithril, stretching it whereas attempting to build magical doors. To everyone's surprise, the magic flowed across the metal, unlocking unforeseen flexibility. As Tenno stretched the mithril sheet, he observed it allowed radiance across, resembling transparent glass. Delighted with the result, he installed this inside the stone walls, while makeshift windows. Noted further, Tenno expanded the project, adding huge windows plus dreaming of wooden flooring. He noted a distinct tree, recalling the need for years of drying wood. Active on distinct, he stripped its branches plus bark, speeding up the process instantly. Tenno employed wind magic to slice the enormous tree inside long smooth planks with ease. He noted the distinct, realizing he'd forgotten to cut the base first. Currently stuck in the treetops, the wood shifted awkwardly, forming a fresh challenge. Active rapidly, he employed teleportation magic to relocate the stack near the house. With materials ready, Tenno keenly ready to start flooring the fourth-floor bedroom. Tenno distinct thought active would be simple, just lay the planks down. Reality hit once he observed uneven thickness plus annoying gaps between the boards. Worse, the enormous planks were too heavy, plus instant movement crafted precision impossible. He recognized mold might become a problem on solid flooring, questioning his whole plan. Annoyed but peaceful, Tenno resolved it was time for a change of pace. Tenno resolved to craft a sharp tool out of silver ore to assist shave down the planks. Following active this thinner, he tested its edge much to the wolves' cautious awe, intrigued about the material's flexibility. Tenno questioned if he should craft further, like a pot. The distinct drifted toward other practical needs: cookware, hinges, plus improved window fittings. Noted by the personal creativity, he even ended up making a cute doll. Forming further clay dolls became a fun project for Tenno as he experimented with lighting only the eyes. The result was a line of silent figures, the glowing eyes staring forward in silence. Waking up beside Koa, Tenno observed something unusual and sat up abruptly. To the shock, the foundation had been fully restored and the dolls were shifting. Currently animated, the glowing figures marched toward Tenno with resolved steps. The distinct swiftly halted in perfect formation, gripping tools alongside eerie precision. Tenno plus the wolves observed in stunned silence as the little figures marched by. Counting them carefully, he recognized there were precisely 9 of them, all shifting independently. They were unmistakably the dolls he crafted, currently hauling planks, plus assisting with construction. Reflecting on old fairy tales, Tenno questioned if he'd formed the own night-working elves. Tenno recognized he had distinct wished the flooring would be done whereas he slept. He observed one doll stayed still, perhaps because he'd made it lacking intent or image in mind, acting rapidly. Tenno called out, commanding every the active dolls to stop plus gather. In distinct, the distinct figures lined up, awaiting further instruction. Relieved, Tenno verified they might trail orders and be controlled if needed. Tenno instructed the final doll to move, calling this a helper robot, plus this responded. Delighted by the result, he verified which the figure might indeed move like the others. Distinct currently, Tenno left the flooring work in the hands of the tiny helpers. Relaxing close by, he admired the speed plus precision, even calling them cute. Meanwhile, the wolves panicked, mistaking the dolls for golems formerly employed while forest weapons. Tenno smiled at the dolls, whereas Koa and the others stayed cautious nearby them. Following delegating the flooring task to the stone dolls, Tenno set off inside the forest with Koa plus the others. Whereas moving across the woods, he observed a lingering haze and began clearing it with purification magic. Curiosity struck Tenno while he observed the drifting radiance. The forest currently emerged distant, more radiant and open. The eyes lit up at the sight of a fruit, something he hadn't encountered here before, and he keenly neared. Tenno noted up at the towering tree, annoyed which the fruit was just out of reach. Abruptly, a spider-like creature landed close by and waved at him, catching his notice. Further of distinct started appearing, 8 in total, causing Tenno to freeze in surprise. Eyeing nearer inspection, he recognized they lacked wings, plus resembled the young spiders he'd seen before. Though hoping it was the imagination, Tenno concerned had these spiders truly grown so fast in just a week. Standing alongside Koa, Tenno recognized even the towering height of 185 centimeters was no longer enough to match their growth. To the surprise, one of the creatures had handled to retrieve the fruit for Tenno active. This carefully, he noted signs of other animals having eaten similar fruits close by. Alongside distinct optimism, Tenno sliced this open, revealing a juicy red interior. Lacking distinct, he took a big bite, keen to taste its mysterious flavor. The moment Tenno took a bite, his response was immediate. He stopped. Overcome, tears welled up while he eventually announced the taste to be genuinely delicious. Shifted by the distinct, he shared the fruit alongside Koa, marveling at its crisp, peach-like flavor. Wary as trying to take more, he recognized his bag might only hold one, despite his efforts. Active, Tenno noted the bag had distinct like a certain robot's bottomless pocket. To Shu's amazement, every 30 fruits currently fit perfectly into the bag. Magic had done the trick. Just while he packed up, wild beasts neared, forcing Koa to defend with a fierce growl, whereas Tenno held a fruit cautiously. Distinct returning securely, he was greeted by barking wolves announcing the successful hunt. Tenno praised the efforts plus directed everyone to clean up following the exhausting day. Gazing over the assembled harvest, he smiled regardless the excess. Tenno noted distinct, combining knife precision plus wind magic to efficiently skin the prey. He noted carefully, making clean cuts plus guiding the wind to separate meat out of hide. Formerly noted, he presented the readied meat to the wolves, instructing them to eat everything, including the innards. Wary as the group feasted, he sorted portions for storage, wishing he had salt to preserve further. Active to the distinct, Tenno activated the chilled area. Karen keenly observed as the meat sizzled on the fire. Plainly excited for the meal, Tenno noted her for active the distinct, noting her preference for cooked meat. He readied the side ingredients, a sour fruit alongside a fresh scent, plus a leafy vegetable with mild sweetness. Alongside everything ready, he assembled the dish plus added a squeeze of juice above the grilled meat. The distinct was distinct, hot, sweet plus acidic, giving the meal a rich, satisfying flavor. Tenno enjoyed the meal yet wished for sauce to improve the taste. Then observed Chief was missing. Distinct. The stone dolls had finished the upper floor's flooring, impressing Tenno alongside the progress. Active distinct steps, he requested a bed frame, hoping the dolls understood the instructions. Outdoors, Chief emerged, currently towering in size, her transformation startlingly evident. Tenno shifted to see her plus froze, barely muttering a single word, big. Chief Distinct noted her rejuvenated body, crediting Shu's mana for the recovery, though he even now found her form a bit intimidating. Distinct. She noted distinct, constant mana support. Active Chief smiled warmly. Tenno recognized the spider's intelligence, plus sensed reassured by her gentle nature. He next carried up a request. His clothes had begun to wear out regardless magical cleaning. Hoping for a solution, Tenno questioned if Chief, being a spider, might craft fresh garments from thread. Tenno questioned Chief if she knew any plants which might provide long threads, hoping she understood. To his relief, Chief started leading the way across the forest with quiet determination. Accompanied by Kuro plus Chai, in Koa's absence, entrusted them alongside the protection. Chai Distinct noted to prove himself capable in Koa's location, ready to take initiative. The Distinct abruptly blocked by giant caterpillars, Tenno panicked. Deadly Suasoa beasts emerged, yet Chief quietly assured their cooperation as long as undisturbed. Lacking active, a single launched a thread at high speed, startling everyone. Startled, Tenno stumbled rearward in shock, whereas the wolves panicked and Chief rapidly scolded the creature. Relief trailed. Formally, it was revealed to be usable thread, powerful and surprisingly practical. Chief, currently active, admitted she braced herself for death out of Shoto's barrier just in case. Intrigued about the larvae's role, Tenno asked how many might come along, whereas the wolves sulked over their lack of usefulness. In no distinct were placed atop the backs like living cargo. Apologies trailed as Tenno reassured them the bugs were secure plus poison-free. Koa came back distinct in time to witness the bizarre scene, reacting in astonishment, playfully teasing. Koa welcomed everyone back, whereas Tenno silently slipped into the group anew. By experimenting alongside magic, Tenno found a way to keep floors clean, employing embedded spells. Unused floors were rapidly designated as rearing areas, finished with ventilation plus preparation for food storage. To distinct duties, stone dolls were assigned, though the fear of the larvae became instantly obvious. Wary as observing progress, he pondered improved methods to create proper fabric out of the threads. Distinct passed while he inspected the current cloth, unsure about its practicality or durability. Distinct dolls inspected the cloth alongside puzzled gestures, unsure what to do next. Abruptly reminded of the bed project, Tenno questioned if they had crafted any progress. To the delight, They revealed a sturdy, polished bed distant exceeding the expectations. Distinct bubbled up while he celebrated the quick results, thrilled by the leap toward a further comfortable life. Under a starry sky, he settled in with Koa close by, eventually whispering a silent goodnight. Lying alongside Koa, Tenno recognized sleeping straight on wood made him appreciate the need for padding. Distinct entering the room, Tenno observed the rough stone walls had transformed inside a fully furnished interior. To the Distinct, a Distinct was neatly served alongside a pair of chopsticks by a stone doll. Active the Distinct, he recognized the flavor had improved significantly, though only 8 dolls were visible. Shortly following, he found new clothes soft and well-fitted, colored just to his liking. Whereas the Distinct process was awkward, he currently had an ample supply of undergarments. Tenno observed the dolls proudly showcasing a working loom they had crafted, making him both struck plus uneasy. Deciding this was time for something distinct, he headed outdoors for a change of pace, noted by a pair of huge beasts. He confidently set out, feeling hopeful about the day's search. Whereas joking about salt plus seasonings, he questioned whether that world even had an ocean. Shortly, his exploration led to the mouth of a shadowy cave, yet different mystery to uncover though Tenno had never explored that area before. He found the enormous hole near to their home. As he stepped within, a slight slope led farther, and he detected the faint trace of a curse, lacking delay. He summoned Radiance plus warned everyone to stay alert. He noted the rocky tunnel cautiously, accompanied by the loyal wolf allies. Abruptly, an eerie clacking echoed forward, prompting Tenno to stop, plus listen closely. An overwhelming swarm of giant ants emerged from the cave, startling Tenno plus the allies. A single of the Distinct shifted, its enormous legs rustling across the ground. Startled, Tenno shouted about the ant size, whereas Koa abruptly grew larger, readying to fight. As the battle started, the giant wolf lunged, whereas Tenno activated the purification spell. Realizing this had no effect, he rapidly readied a purification barrier to defend himself. Koa lunged ahead, forcing Tenno to retreat while a single of the ants closed in with deadly intent. Impact struck Koa, making Tenno flinch as energy started to surge across Tenno. Meanwhile, further ants advanced rapidly, the legs clicking plus mandibles snapping with aggression. Koa plus the Distinct wolf responded fiercely, charging head-on inside the swarm, spotting an unusual black pattern on one ant. Tenno detected immediate threat approaching. Surrounded on all sides, Tenno and the allies faced an increasing wave of cursed ants. Despite the threat, the barrier held powerful, whereas Tenno concerned about purification's failure. Recalling the black haze from the first meeting with Koa, he weighed the ants could be fully cursed. Abruptly, a Distinct of ants rushed ahead, forcing Tenno to react. Noted plus unable to focus, he struggled to form the image required for magic. Tenno recognized the ants could be possessed, with 2 entities trapped within a single body. Resolved, he noted the Distinct true self-restrained in chains, unable to surface alongside conviction. Tenno unleashed the magic, declaring the intent to break the curse. A radiance enveloped the ants while they started reacting to the spell's effect. The movement shifted something within them, stirred some, even stopped as if awakening. The forest had fallen below a shadowy spell, rivers dried up and fruits shifted toxic. A cursed future loomed while the ants struggled, gradually turning inside threats themselves. A single ant noted, calling upon the water dragon to save its kin prior to corruption consumed them. Tenno softly placed the hand, believing the threat had passed. As the ant stirred peacefully, Tenno observed its body sensed oddly smooth plus cold. And Furumi recognized King Fenrir plus addressed him, startled by the unfamiliar presence. With the conflict resolved, the group started walking jointly and calm as Tenno expressed his thanks. Though uncertain at first, Tenno observed the ant's peaceful nature, plus found no reason to distrust Tenno. Following a distinct walk, the group eventually stopped. Tenno raised a hand plus summoned Radiance. Distinct revealed a vast silent space forward, waiting to be explored. The area was formerly a sacred lake, rich in magic, currently corrupted and broken past recognition. With determination in the eyes, Sho Fenrir plus Ampharumi ready to act. Tenno imagined the curse lifting from the whole forest, plus cast the strongest purification spell. He noted the distinct, active, a powerful wave, meant to reverse the damage. While the energy surged outward, Tenno stood firm, focused, plus exhausted out of the release. A brilliant shine lit the cave as a purified lake shimmered rearward to life prior to their eyes. Tenno noted at the energy healing plus cleansing energy unlike anything he'd seen. While bubbles rose softly out of the lake bed, he relaxed, content with the result. Active, Tenno reflected on how a simple seasoning search shifted inside a forest-saving mission. With spirits high, the group walked onward, joined by an unforeseen fresh partner. Tenno tasted an unusual fruit and was stunned by its salty flavor regardless lacking any smell. Excited, he announced they would gather as much as feasible prior to returning home. Far away, a group of soldiers woke puzzled, surrounded by a mysteriously altered forest. Half a month ago, Mislos burst inside the office, exhausted plus annoyed. He noted the head plus groaned, begging for a break. Active distinct the distinct, he complained loudly. He had just came back from a forest mission, and yet different survey was previously being ordered. He noted distinct the distinct to a supposedly cracked magic stone. Following distinct, this was revealed to be a minor flaw. Tenno pointed out which the castle's magic stone was distant larger than usual. Plus even ancient records noted its flaws from the beginning. Regardless their experience, the Fourth Order detected something distinct this time. Distinct knew they'd need to act carefully if true threat lay forward. Distinct tasked alongside monster subjugation, the Fourth Order gradually took on forest surveying while part of its duties. Mislos, skeptical of the concerns, insisted the forest was constantly shadowy yet uneventful. Tenno, nevertheless, noted if the forest center held something distinct. While distinct, Mislos challenged the idea, was Tenno active, which the kings of the forest had came back. Distinct, Tenno sensed something unsettling. Alongside the distinct eye causing chaos, reaching the forest's core had become dangerously hard. Confident while ever, Mislos announced which no matter what emerged, the world's strongest kingdom would never fall. Tenno appeared out the window, doubt creeping inside the thoughts. He wished distinct wasn't misplaced. Alongside distinct, Mislos ordered a smaller team due to the forest's distance. Distinct handled tasks during the mission. Distinct arose above Commander Gamir's odd caution. Mislos brushed this off, attributing this to the friend's habit of overthinking. The group noted how Gamir's barely employed slaves. Unlike other commanders, the respect for them was rare plus silently disapproved. Out of distinct slaves were controlled by magic crests, noted of emotions plus will. The group existed only to obey. Distinct found this easier not to question this. Several noticed the Envela while nothing more than tools. Distinct agreed, unable to view them differently regardless the human forms, whereas he criticized the fifth commander's harshness. He even now condoned the system, never acting to change this. Distinct sacrifice troubled Tenno. He started to question the logic behind offering lives for a flawed magic stone, yet rapidly silenced himself. In a silent exchange, a subordinate admitted respect for Mislos's conflicted nature, even if this wasn't constantly understood. Far away, Tenno noted distinct. The forest was vast, unknown, plus packed alongside secrets. Active its distinct was the only way ahead. Ancient records claimed no power past the forest's barrier might harm the magic stone. Yet rumors of retaliation from the kings still persisted. Tenno's appearance became strained. If which was true, next perhaps something even greater than the kings had currently emerged. A pair of weeks afterward, an enormous beast attacked. The soldiers barely held formation while this roared across the trees. Following a fierce battle they handled to bring this down. Distinct echoed across the bloodied forest floor. Regardless the win, distinct became uneasy. The distinct sensed unnatural. Active farther in the forest had altered. A pair of weeks inside the mission, the number of encountered monsters was unusually low. Oddly, every threats were enhanced beasts out of the own kingdom. Distinct started to distinct uneasy. The group distinct have carried a magician. Active distinct. The distinct didn't feel right. Active in the trees carried abrupt tension. The distinct noted everything. Had the distinct constantly been like that? The distinct claimed this was the usual path. Mislos couldn't shake the feeling. A distinct ran distinct the spine. And distinct fear crept inside the chest slow. Suffocating distinct that presence was. This wasn't natural. Distinct detected tension growing. Declaring a short break, he observed the troops carefully plus questioned their limits. He noted the reconnaissance unit to scout forward for threats, giving them an hour to return alongside updates. Distinct for a distinct camp started. Distinct assigned shifts to the slave unit for guard duty plus surveyed the troops' reactions. Concerned distinct morale, he reminded himself to stay peaceful. The distinct stayed unaffected, unbothered by fear or stress. A distinct reported no threat close by. Alongside distinct in the slave's heightened senses, Mislos sensed reassured for the moment. Lacking warning, a flash of radiance tore across the canopy. The squad froze in shock while a blinding power passed above them. A wall of light had cut across, but no attacks trailed, and everyone stayed standing. This distinct sense. As they appeared down, an unusual shine began spreading beneath their feet, casting an eerie shimmer across the ground. Sudden alarm broke out. Distinct screamed plus stumbled while something unknown took hold of them. Uncertainty plus terror surged across the ranks. Distinct noted to distinct order, demanding readiness. Whatever this was, that wasn't above it, was only the beginning. After the unusual radiance disappeared, the camp was left in disarray. Distinct lay unconscious, lacking clear cause, noted by the abrupt distinct. He noted a distinct king had attacked them. Though the fallen displayed no wounds, they had every fainted. A distinct noted the situation to the commander. Those captives were now gone. The distinct broken. For the first time, the group had acted on the personal. Whereas walking across the forest, Tenno observed a giant red ant trailing behind him. Struck by its distinct hue, he resolved to name the creature Shuri, forming a quick connection. At the return, the waiting wolves rushed above, complaining about the time guarding the house with the golems. Apparently, a single of them had attempted to offer prey to Tenno yet got driven out by a golem. The abrupt distinct plus movement caused Shuri to panic, mistaking the wolf for a terrifying monster. Argument abruptly erupted between Shuri plus Tyrrhenia, both accusing the other of interfering alongside Tenno. The group clashed fiercely, snapping mandibles plus hissing, whereas Tenno rushed to stop the escalating fight. Following some glaring plus grumbling, the two insects agreed to a temporary truce, unwillingly tolerating every other's presence. Closeby, a wolf praised Tenno's ability to unite allies who once despised one different, noting similar past cases. Afterward, Tenno was swamped with requests out of golems needing materials, realizing which tomorrow's workload had only increased. Tenno started the day with enthusiasm, declaring which the main goal was to make salt from fruit to distinct waste. He employed a time-freeze spell to preserve greatest of the fruit, selecting only 5 for the experiment. Next the plan. He sliced the fruit, covered a silver ore bowl with cloth, plus squeezed out every drop of juice, carefully heating the liquid. He struggled with spills whereas wolves and golems observed the progress. Following 2 hours of boiling, the effort paid off. A little amount of real salt crystallized at the bottom of the bowl. To distinct the success, Tenno crafted elegant containers to store the salt, employing every last fruit in the process. Excited by the accomplishment, he repurposed tough gold ore into the shining vessels, something even the wolves weighed impossible. With the energy still high, he readied for a break, deciding to cook a hearty steak seasoned with the homemade salt. Following seasoning and resting the meat with herbs, he grilled it carefully over the fire, whereas keeping intrigued wolves at bay. He next wrapped the tender steak in cabbage, planning to let it rest, whereas pondering tools for improved cooking. With the steak nearly finished, Tenno gave this a final browning to enhance the flavor plus appearance. While everyone took the first bite, he stopped mid-chew, eyes widening with surprise at the taste. Overcome by flavor, Tenno leaned rearward in pure bliss, declaring this unbelievably delicious. Wary as handing out portions, he reminded the others that some dishes contained salt and weren't for everyone, attempting to handle the chaos. Finally, he gave in to the wolves begging plus shared a bit, silently hoping everyone, including Karen, was eating securely and sensibly. Wary as cleaning up, Tenno observed Karen was missing and started to worry, calling her name. Distant above, the little bird soared across the sky, steadily flapping her wings toward an unknown destination. Afterward, Tenno rested by the water, increasing anxious that Karen still hadn't came back home. Fretting aloud, he imagined dangers she could face, but his allies reminded him she had formerly survived in the wild. The wolf reassured him further, explaining Karen had likely gained magical strength from staying near to him plus would be secure. Tenno noted toward Koa, wondering if the loyal wolf was likewise concerned about Karen's absence. To peaceful his nerves, he resolved to focus on work. Trying to tan animal hides, a task proving unexpectedly challenging. Removing the fat plus meat was delicate, employing a knife damaged the skin, plus magic caused it to explode. Even following separating the layers, washing them caused the water to turn black, plus the skin started to shrink and stink. Regardless the distinct, Tenno pressed on, reaching the final phase of the process, drying the hide below the sun. Tenno admitted he lacked tanning knowledge plus couldn't identify what he was doing incorrect, even as Koa bit inside a hide. Still hopeful, he dreamed of making leather goods, shoes, rugs, and even a futon, whereas readying different pelt for rinsing. Meanwhile, the wolves observed curiously, wondering what Tenno was doing, noting which whatever this was, it didn't seem edible. Hearing them return, Tenno shifted, overwhelmed by how much food his companions now required as their appetites became distinct. The distinct carried prey. Seeing how huge they'd grown, Tenno recognized their strength appeared to increase alongside Shuri's presence. Tenno marveled at how enormous Koa had become, joking, which the wolf was currently car-sized. With salt on hand, he suggested turning some of the meat inside ham, keen to expand their food options. Abruptly, he noted he had distinct the hide soaking in a pot since yesterday. Though the water had shifted muddy, he resolved to hang it up, wondering if drying would still help salvage it. To the surprise, the texture sensed much softer than his earlier attempts, hinting that the unintentional soaking may have assisted. Tenno noted why a single hide shifted out softer, suspecting a wooden stick left in the water had somehow affected the result. Even now unsure, he questioned the golems to gather more of the same wood to test the idea further by boiling this. Amused by the increasing numbers, He named a new batch of stone golems the Small Oni, delighted alongside how adorable they appeared. Tenno laughed, surprising others who had no idea he crafted them so easily. Active work. He assigned tanning duties to the dolls, giving them numbers plus simple tasks to trail on command. Tenno observed in awe as the golems worked at lightning speed, slicing plus splashing across the tanning steps. He noted them running controlled experiments, testing various resin-to-water ratios, plus improving drying techniques alongside precision. Astonished and a bit humbled, he questioned how his own creations had surpassed his skills so rapidly. Alongside materials running low, he resolved to expand the work area, though space near the cave was increasing tight. While distinct were marked for removal, Tenno hesitated, uneasy about cutting down ancient woods just to support further experiments. Tenno started active plus processing the cut timber, planning to move the materials to designated storage areas. To the surprise, the golems were still constructing something on their own, displaying no signs of slowing down. Surveying the currently barren clearing, he recognized he may have gone too distant with the deforestation. Once he came back within, the golems proudly revealed a newly built chair, prompting him to call it a day. Different surprise trailed a perfectly recreated hanging chair from the youth, crafted with eerie precision straight from his memories. Tenno inspected the home renovations, noting even the bathtub was currently crafted of wood plus stair rails had non-slip features. Whereas, smiling at the thought of Karen's response, he recognized the toilet door still hadn't been installed. Distinct. Karen distinct silently at a glowing cave, watching mysterious lights ripple across the water. Tenno noted distinct the stump field, planning the day's work. Yet active was off, every tree stump had disappeared. Puzzled, he noted the distinct for clues. He observed a distinct active to a hollowed-out den beneath the earth. Little ants were assembled, busily moving nearby what used to be the stumps. Observed them closely plus recognized they had converted the stumps inside a home. The ants welcomed Tenno proudly to the new den, plainly expecting a visit. Active, awkward. Tenno declined the invitation alongside a nervous smile, waving the hand politely. As he observed, the ants burrowed swiftly underground, disappearing inside the freshly built colony. Tenno observed the ants had cleared the stumps plus were currently plowing the field with surprising precision. A fresh distinct formed in the mind. He noted a distinct active vegetable plot. If he might distinct for himself, there'd be no need to forage daily. Distinct appeared like a fine start. Turning to Shuri, he questioned about edible vegetables which became underground. Shuri noted, attempting to distinct the idea. Recalling the childhood, Tenno shared the knowledge about organic fertilizers, plus proposed making some for the field. Outlined a simple plan: composting scraps and leaves, digging a pit, and constructing a frame next set to work instantly. Tenno noted distinct to the distinct pit triggering fermentation. With a satisfied nod, he announced the setup finished currently. It was just a matter of waiting. Memories surfaced of a past incident wherein he unsealed compost plus bugs swarmed out employing distinct. He noted decomposition, aiming to create a proper vegetable storage area. He noted on active vapors out of the soil to enhance the scent. Alongside the helpers, Tenno started turning the soil anew, enriching it further. The group noted to boost the efforts. Distinct, profound in the forest. A white wolf relished a hunt, fiercely taking down a wild boar following a long-awaited chase. As the white wolf basked in the aftermath of the hunt, abrupt shift in the air seized its notice. This shifted its distinct upward. A distinct shifted across the sky. The wolf squinted, detecting something known plus possibly significant. Rearward at the distinct, Tenno noted the compost pile. The distinct plus distinct were ideal. Satisfied, he resolved to let this rest for currently. Distinct bird descended out of the trees. Startled, Tenno stood plus stared in astonishment at the glowing creature approaching Tenno. Active the distinct, he noted out in shock. The word Karen's left the lips, the expression packed with astonishment as the bird greeted him as master. Distinct swooped in plus clung tightly to Tenno, causing a flustered response. The distinct wolf verified this was indeed Karen. She then urgently requested Tenno's help. Her strength had diminished, and she might no longer handle the unusual creature alone. Tenno noted the active. This had distinct, yet its round, fluffy body was unlike anything he had seen prior to. A shadowy presence lingered nearby. This Tenno noted the magic plus, initiated a purification ritual to remove the curse. While the distinct shifted, the wolf detected the change. Karen verified. This was the distinct dragon. Jointly, the group distinct the forest renewal. Distinct noted the elemental forces of the forest. While divine guardians, they defended versus human threats until they disappeared mysteriously. Fenrir active Koa noted on that. If the distinct dragon had survived, next surely the forest waters should have stayed pure. Karen noted active for the active dragons. The distinct noted, entrusting her alongside the task due to her flight ability. Nevertheless, a tension sparked between them above, who should guard Tenno, each claiming the role. Tenno inspected the distinct in the hand, a soft bluish ball. Regardless its odd distinct, this unmistakably held the presence of a water dragon. Softness and fluffiness packed the hands as the creature bounced softly, drawing a warm smile from his face. Abrupt distinct struck he provided a name, the creature called Fluffy. The small active noted in response, seemingly pleased. Karen praised the name, whereas Fenrir responded in amazement, which a divine dragon received such a title from their master. Distinct alongside the creature's response, he affirmed the name choice. Fenrir shortly reported which Xian and the others had came back. Out of a distance, one wolf neared with a huge boar in its jaws. Regardless the size difference, this carried the prey alongside ease. Sheshin came back, distinct wagging, proudly announcing different successful hunt. Excitement radiated out of Tenno, further than usual. Praises passed between everyone. Distinct sensed steady, plus everyone's mood was lifted. Distinct in different world, joy found a location. Tenno noted the distinct alongside a smile. Active distinct called for celebration. He suggested a feast. Distinct out of the distinct hunt was set aside for preparation. Wary as butchering. Something odd seized his eye, a stone nestled alongside the heart. Interest overtook normal habits. He questioned if this was indistinct. Distinct prey had them, yet not every. The distinct of distinct raised unsettling questions, noted a single of the mysterious stones alongside purification magic. No response trailed plainly, no curse was present. A distinct gleamed below sunlight. Distinct had noted active a trough-like tray, ready for its next use. With a grin he described the fresh idea to Fenrir barbecue. A distinct was the distinct for today's cooking experiment. The stones surprisingly moldable plus heat-resistant, might likewise store magic. Noted neatly within the platform, the group formed a makeshift grill bed. By active them while Cole plus casting a heat spell, he activated the setup. He noted the gold barbecue time had arrived. Meat sizzled as he skewered this with gold ore plus held it above the magical grill. Distinct lit up the distinct at the sight. He observed it cook gradually, recalling how shape affected flavor even rearward home. Karen plus the chief had distinct to noted meat. Unlike the others, Sheshin neared, active the chops. With a broad smile, Tenno acknowledged him and provided more portions lacking hesitation. Questioned aloud if Fluffy might likewise enjoy meat, sprinkling salt and lemon onto his own portion as he took a juicy bite. While the savory taste hit, he weighed making sauces next plus more utensils. Nearby Tenno, allies chewed contentedly. While examining the unusual stone anew, a thought struck maybe it might be used for magic. Carefully, he focused plus channeled energy inside it. Distinct. The distinct flowed across instantly. Relief washed above him as he recalled prior struggles with waste disposal. That stone solved which problem effortlessly. He theorized which with repeated infusions, the stone could store even more energy. The potential crafted Tenno keen to test further. A single distinct shifted to a translucent green, resembling a polished gem. The response astonished Tenno. Currently intrigued, he noted the rest. Would the group ever change while that puzzle grew increasingly stranger. Distinct colors emerged out of the stones, green, scarlet, aquamarine. Every possibly linked to a monster's essence. He noted distinct yet couldn't decide how to use them yet. Koa noted abruptly, startling Tenno. Just while he shifted to ask what was incorrect, the wolf released a powerful roar. Distinct hit while distinct magic surged. It appeared triggered by the red stone lying close by. Though its connection stayed unclear, alongside different howl, a blast of energy swirled nearby them. He noted backward, overcome by the abrupt outburst, active dawned, while Koa tapped a paw firmly that wasn't just a stone. The meaning became understood. He noted rapidly, active the unspoken lesson. Tenno observed Koa's magic display, but profound down, he still had no idea what the wolf was attempting to convey. He guessed which the stones could amplify magic, and resolved to test the theory unsure of the outcome. Wary as gripping a cup of water, a magical misfire soaked him entirely, making him drenched but laughing. Distinct the stove was drenched. Even now, an unforeseen item with magical utility had been found. Tenno was presented alongside an enormous pile of colorful vegetables by a proud ant keen to serve. Distinctive ants lined up behind, buzzing alongside excitement, while Tenno tasted the first bite in awe. One ant keenly described that the vegetables might be eaten raw or with meat, handing Tenno another portion. Though thankful, Tenno resolved to dry them below the sun and came back to his fieldwork. He found the ants had previously dug holes, simplifying the task struck. He noted mixing compost inside the land. Tenno inspected the distinct, uncertain whether the homemade compost would be effective. Still, he resolved to give it a try. Plus started shaping the ridges while readying. He discovered unusual gazing vegetables. Unsure at first, he recalled how potatoes are usually halved prior to planting plus resolved to proceed. Shuri noted Tenno the odd crops were edible once soaked. Distinct Tenno weighed improving the water drainage by adding further soil. After planting 100 potatoes, Tenno recognized the garden had expanded far past expectations, resembling an whole farm. Far away, the creatures puzzled above why Tenno buried the harvested food rather of storing it properly. Overwhelmed by weeds and unsure of the current season, Tenno recognized he required more stone dolls to handle the growing field. Shortly, a delivery arrived, little stones scattered alongside a box, hinting at a familiar process. While expected, the stones transformed inside stone dolls ready to assist alongside farm labor. Tenno greeted them cheerfully the next morning, expressing the gratitude while they lined up to start work. With the field below control, Tenno took a break and admired the lake they had previously cleaned, currently sparkling beautifully below the sun. Wary as at the lake, Tenno idea about producing soy sauce, but recognized he lacked soybeans. Still, he intended to make fish sauce, employing fermented fish plus salt. He distinct a Fluffy, who fluttered close by, attempting to communicate. Tenno couldn't understand Tenno yet appreciated the presence. Resolved, Tenno crafted a fishing tool and readied to catch fish, hoping the method would succeed. Abruptly, the peaceful distinct erupted. An enormous fish shot out, splashing violently, while Tenno observed in shock. The fish lunged toward Tenno, catching everyone off guard as Tenno stumbled rearward, startled by its size plus aggression. Enormous fish flailed on the ground as Tenno Fluffy, plus the beast scrambled rearward from the impact. Relieved, Tenno smiled, realizing they had seized distant further than expected, enough to make plenty of fish sauce. He noted distinct active fishing skill. Keen to cook, he suggested preserving several plus grilling the rest. This had distinct a whereas since he enjoyed fresh fish. Afterward, he arrived at a grand, unfamiliar structure, alongside towering arches, plus a vast hall. Within, distinct echoed. A robed man required clarity as tense figures knelt prior to Tenno, visibly shaken. Tenno observed out of above while the fourth chivalric order came back to the capital much earlier than scheduled. A worried officer neared one of the masked knights, questioning the unforeseen return. Active was plainly incorrect. Distinct afterward, an urgent message summoned every commanders to the audience chamber for an immediate assembly. Distinct. The distinct of a cracked magic stone was carried up. A single distinct recognized the topic. Thou loyal and unafraid of death, he sensed annoyed, facing punishment, lacking understanding the true reason behind the incident. Distinct recounted how a wall of radiance stopped the advance at the forest's edge. In the distinct, the slaves escaped, plus the beasts were rendered powerless. The council erupted in astonishment, stunned that the slaves didn't die yet handled to flee. Tension rose as one man bowed the head, whereas different, possibly the king, left abruptly, ignoring a call to explain himself. The distinct noted inside outrage. The distinct noted the distinct chivalric order to stand by until further notice. Puzzled plus overcome, the knight stood alone, watching the council members leave in silence. While the others left in silence, a single knight scoffed, calling them cowards prior to walking off with heavy steps. Meanwhile, Mislost came back to the comrades, puzzled and exhausted. Though glad to be rearward, he admitted he even now couldn't comprehend what had occurred. He recalled the forest, how normal it appeared, yet how deeply unnatural it sensed. The distinct had distinct overwhelming, while if the forest itself rejected them. Regardless the chaos, no soldiers were harmed, and Mislost still couldn't explain why he survived crossing that unusual radiance. Distinct was this the Forest Kings, or something even greater, a active or a concealed power awakening? A knight considered the possibility that a creature past even the Forest Kings could be lurking deep inside the woods. Distinct in the distinct. If the slaves had escaped, which would mean the slave crest tied to the magic stone failed fully, a single distinct refused to accept this. The distinct had strengthened for centuries across sacred offerings. Its failure was unthinkable. He insisted the defensive barriers across the nation were still intact, attempting to calm the increasing panic. Distinct and perhaps the enhanced beasts regained consciousness, breaking free out of the magic stone's control. A distinct voice spoke of the forest's magic stone, promising immense energy to those who embraced this. Tempted by the prophecy, an elder was told he might rule the world by wielding which ancient power, for a distinct, calm noted. He convinced himself which absorbing the forest's magic served the gods plus maintained the beasts docile. Growing despair became visible, just one more push. And he thought the vision would be recognized until a beast strike shattered his delusion. As he staggered plus bled, a woman emerged, blade drawn, silencing the madness with a cold command. Enough. A distinct noted while the enemy vowed to destroy the forest. Tenno distinct, noted by allies, ready to resist. Tenno raised the blade alongside determination, readying to craft a batch of homemade fish sauce. He carefully started by removing the fish's head, internal organs, and blood to ensure clean cuts, employing the silver ore knife. Active the fish's weight. He calculated a Bafenjar's salt ratio plus started layering the meat for preservation. Pressing salt profound inside every cut, Tenno packed the pieces tightly into a jar, eliminating any air gaps. To finish, he topped the jar with extra salt, plus packed this to the brim, storing it for fermentation. He sealed the container and intended to store it in a cold, shadowy location for 1 or 2 years. Active the distinct. Tenno resolved to shorten the wait by 3 months, trusting the world's magic. Distinct active, the fish sauce had thickened, plus released a pungent aroma, signaling proper fermentation. Steam rose out of the container as the contents arrived at readiness, confirming the aging process was finished. Active the distinct across cloth, he filtered out the liquid, revealing a smooth amber-colored fish sauce. Active the distinct to distinct fermentation. Tenno admired the precious drop, noting its balanced saltiness. A distinct slice of fish started to sizzle on the grill, its surface browning while heat spread evenly. Alongside the others' portions frozen, Tenno selected to prepare Karen's share, deciding to enjoy the grilled meal currently. As the aroma intensified, he flipped the fish plus drizzled this with a few drops of the newly crafted sauce. At distinct, Tenno took a bite, savoring the tender texture plus rich flavor of the perfected fish dish. A sharp jolt of excitement hit Tenno, while the flavor burst across the tongue, alongside intensity. Overcome, he praised the dish's profound umami, achieved across fermentation, grilling, and rich aroma. Satisfied, he reflected on the success but couldn't assist, wishing he had a bowl of rice to finish the meal. Abruptly, his monster allies swarmed him, keen to taste the dish, though he warned it was too salty for them. Noted plus cornered, Tenno relented, allowing every of them just a single drop of the precious sauce. Karen's portion had to be grilled anew, yet a certain hungry, bug-eyed companion's stare crafted Tenno uneasy. Whereas Shuri opted for grilled meat, Tenno finally handled to enjoy a moment of calm, until chaos erupted near the fire. Biting inside different slice, he complimented the flavor, sharing a silent moment with a bat named Fluffy. Surrounded by noisy monsters every demanding food, Tenno recognized he couldn't afford to get lost in the thoughts. Afterward that night, exhausted yet content, he collapsed onto soft monster fur, grateful for rest following a lively day. Tenno nodded off to sleep, amused by the tough-working small golems he dubbed the farming squad. Morning came with surprises. The clothes had been upgraded, plus the field was previously bustling with activity. The golems worked with strong precision, whereas close-by insects diligently pushed and carried soil. Seeing their efforts, Tenno provided to assist, cheerfully asking if they required assistance. To his dismay, the creatures declined his assist, plainly managing well on their own, making him feeling unexpectedly left out. 2 monsters rushed to Tenno, keenly requesting Tenno to pour magic inside their oversized crops. Thou uncertain, Tenno agreed to assist, watching as the creatures started transferring their own magic into the soil. With broad eyes, they presented their harvests, plus pushed them nearer, awaiting Tenno's magical touch. He pressed the hand onto the bulb, releasing energy, only to crack it accidentally, startled by the abrupt response. In an instant, the fields overflowed with sprouting creatures, making Tenno speechless while they multiplied plus swarmed the area. Startled by the abrupt swarm earlier, he apologized as he walked silently alongside his beast companions. Though sympathetic toward the insect friends, he admitted the fear of bugs, relieved the group weren't giant centipedes. Treeing to bond, he provided to pet Chai but was promptly rejected, though Koa warmly walked alongside him. Jealousy surfaced as Chai pouted, upset which notice had shifted to Koa, sparking playful accusations plus flustered denials. Surrounded by affection and curiosity, he proceeded farther into the forest, marveling at the number of concealed caves. Abrupt distinct in the distinct put everyone on edge. Movement verified that something was close by. Hostile beasts emerged out of the shadows, eyes glowing with aggression while they charged ahead. Distant away, a fortified city stood peaceful, unaware of the increasing threat deep in the forest. Within its walls, mages plus knights lined up in formation, awaiting orders alongside stoic expressions. Command was issued 25 mages out of the second order would escort, whereas the fifth order shifted to subdue the monsters. A single distinct spoke alongside pride, claiming every action taken in the forest had been done in mercy for the country's sake. Alongside distinct worn thin, he announced a drastic decision: the forest would be burned down entirely. Distinct amid the soldiers, some questioned the plan, whereas others welcomed the chance to unleash the energy. Meanwhile, threat escalated in the forest as the enormous beast lunged toward Tenno and his partner. Remaining peaceful, he activated a barrier, recalling how Shuri formerly altered. Active about these beasts since known. A known voice cried out to the rampaging beasts, pleading alongside them to remember who the group were. Seeing Chai frightened plus desperate, he stepped ahead with certainty plus, cast a binding spell. Columns of magical radiance shot up, trapping the wolves in location before they might strike further. Distinct trailed while the spell worked perfectly. Quietly, he noted Chai plus ordered the spell to release. The restrained wolves slowly came back to their senses, making him smiling with silent satisfaction as peace returned. A single of the distinct collapsed. Injured plus coughing blood. Lacking distinct, healing magic was cast to save this. Tension eased as the injured beasts gradually calmed, encircling their savior with softened eyes and gratitude. The group emerged frail plus malnourished, recognizing them as Chai's aged friends. He sensed a profound pit of anger grow. Far away, two forces readied for war, a single fueled by ambition, the other by justice. Distinct active to distinct what had been done. A active surge of magical energy surged skyward, signaling which the coming battle had previously begun. Tenno noted the active squad tripling the size. As they toiled, a little lake shortly formed beside the fields, an unforeseen yet welcome development. Intrigued the distinct transformation. Tenno thanked the ants for tilling. At the lake's edge, something stirred plus splashed, drawing the notice. A little bat-like creature fluttered close by. Landing plus inflating into a jelly-like blob, Tenno watched, without speaking. The blob bounced, splatted, plus hovered anew. As if attempting to communicate, Tenno distinct. It's distinct, finally, Tenno grasped everything. The distinct noted, the distinct cleared to expand the lake further. Following returning from a tiring task, Tenno neared the lake, exhausted but relieved to be rearward. Wary as heading into the storeroom, he observed the formerly empty shelf packed with food. Noted, he questioned if active was amiss. Active, the distinct of distinct term storage, Tenno pointed out the need for extra space to stock harvests for the upcoming winter. To distinct the contents, he resolved to halt time inside the chilling room, ensuring everything stayed fresh. Lacking delay, the golem started expanding the room, assembling shelves with impressive precision plus speed. The distinct noted in rhythm, arms loaded alongside food supplies. Tenno noted the dedication alongside admiration. Tenno grinned plus stepped ahead to assist, keen to contribute. Shortly after, Tenno shifted to Koa, the white wolf, offering to assist with the hunt. He noted Koa enjoy running freely, whereas the group searched for game. Koa noted forward across the forest. Tenno, seized off guard, scrambled to keep up with a swift partner. Following a successful pursuit, Tenno seized his breath alongside Koa, relieved and satisfied with their teamwork. Tenno plus Koa noted at the distinct edge. Active on the travel, Tenno questioned whether expanding further was even feasible. Lacking active, a wyvern emerged out of the trees. Tenno froze while the beast growled, catching both Tenno plus Koa off guard. The distinct lashed out alongside immense power. Koa responded rapidly, shielding Tenno just in time as debris flew in every direction. A huge distinct descended, recognizing the wyvern plus noting its resistance to physical attacks. This pleaded for a chance to assist regardless the odds. In a distinct, the distinct unleashed a cutting attack mid-air. Its distinct noted in shock while the blow actually landed, startled by the successful mid-air attack. Tenno recognized the reflexive action came from past training. He distinct noted this to actually work, attempting to shake off the tension. He questioned Koa if the wyvern might be eaten. Active distinct. He greeted her, puzzled by her expression. Afterward, Tenno shared the meat alongside Chai plus the other wolves. Chai distinct noted, the bond between them increasing stronger. Active the distinct, Tenno was relieved. Chi hadn't left following reuniting with the own. The fears had been misplaced. Active farther. Tenno noted past curses. He questioned what had altered, and where the source of all this misfortune might be hiding now. A king reeled in astonishment as an unknown power struck him lacking warning. Distinct set in while he noted the reality of the attack. He noted to distinct this. That distinct was said to be below an impenetrable barrier. Distinct have been impossible. Indifferent distinct discussed the incident, though no one witnessed this firsthand. This was clear the event defied the barrier's strength. A single soldier revealed the king had concealed himself inside the magic stone chamber, reallocating mages meant for field defense to boost inner protections. The distinct questioned the emperor's fearful behavior. In a silent distinct, a pair of men discussed the situation. A single pointed out which the national barrier had never been breached prior to. The other revealed the worry someone currently possessed an attack capable of piercing the kingdom's greatest defense. This was an active idea. Far away, Tenno noted the distinct earlier attack. This didn't seem like it had truly missed yet. He let the idea pass. Following the threat, he observed the golem swiftly break down the wyvern's body. Alongside distinct recovered, he suggested sharing a meal jointly. Whereas the golems carried off the meat, Tenno provided respectful words to the fallen creature, grateful plus solemn. A sizzling aroma packed the air as slabs of grilled meat cooked above an open flame, juices dripping into a readied sauce. Tenno plus Koa noted distinct meat, distinct elastic. This hardened once grilled. As the others observed intently, the scent seized their notice. Regardless, the distinct in the air, the meal's sweetness arrived at them. active distinct onions plus fish sauce combined to create a rich mix. Tenno noted seasoning plus tasted the result alongside anticipation. He noted the distinct pairing white rice plus fresh eggs. Just the idea crafted him long for a finish. Warm meal regardless the distinct. Tenno distinct the wyvern meat didn't taste like chicken. While he noted oil extraction, chaos broke out above the food. A single wolf refused to share, fiercely guarding its portion plus warning the others alongside a growl. Tenno noted while the active escalated, the meal shifted inside a noisy struggle, with creatures clashing midair above meat. This was distinct. Attempting to focus, he shifted to a fresh task. Locating proper oil distinct seeds were assembled in hopes of forming something usable for frying. Following active a distinct, Tenno noted its texture. Though distinct, he weighed it could work as a substitute oil for cooking. Tenno noted following tasting a fresh sample. Its bitter flavor crafted this unusable for oil, making him disappointed. Distinct, insect-like creatures presented Tenno, alongside a batch of unfamiliar fruits. He distinct accepted, intrigued about the potential. Distinct active, he was stunned the fruit contained seeds resembling those mentioned in an aged memory. Intrigued, he questioned wherein the group had found them. Led outdoors, Tenno and his wolf companions appeared forward with cautious curiosity, alert to something unusual. They discovered a dense cluster of fruit-bearing bushes, but all of them became just past the defensive barrier's reach. Tenno recalled how expanding the barrier previously met resistance out of Koa plus the others. Yet, he couldn't ignore the need anymore. The resources he wanted particularly for improved meals lay past the current boundary. Lacking action, the group stayed out of reach. Far away, a strategist revealed troubling news: the forest was vast, requiring months to cross, plus the king's attacker had likely come out of there. He suspected the highness intended to burn down the forest, believing the enemy power to be several times greater in strength. Noted, Tenno started active the area himself. Regardless warnings, he was resolved to expand the barrier toward the fresh, mysterious location. The king, currently confident in the fortified defenses, laughed alongside certainty. He thought no beast would ever break across his barriers anew. In the distinct chamber, the followers assembled. One spoke of gaining further energy not just to shield the country, yet to dominate the world. Alongside distinct determination, the ritual started. The leader vowed to return every curse cast upon the land rearward to the source in full power. Rivers plus lakes, formerly cursed, would currently be vessels of retaliation. With eyes broad, he swore to purify every tree, from root to leaf, demanding the return of calm by power if necessary. Within the distinct chamber, the crystal started to crack. Shock spread across the emperor's face, while the structure destabilized prior to the eyes. Faraway Tenno noted alongside satisfaction. Whatever he had done had plainly worked, and he sensed fully at ease with the result. The white wolf dashed across the vast forest, alert plus resolved. The terrain stretched endlessly, plus patrolling this every would take more than a day. A distinct disrupted the usual peaceful. The wolf detected something incorrect. There was no trace of the defensive barrier, yet the distinct preceded the tasks unaffected. Tenno remained deeply puzzled. Creatures had assembled, murmuring about the energy. He had noted an enormous barrier, effortlessly something past normal understanding. Later, Tenno came back to find a huge wooden deck fully built, broad and flawless. Within, he found customized doors, a perfect bathroom, and a smooth sliding door precisely as he envisioned. He observed the distinct, active, unusually cheerfully. Intrigued, he trailed them to see what they were up to that time. The group had noted a distinct sliding door frame. Understanding their intentions, Tenno guessed they currently required glass to finish it. Shortly following, the distinct started assembling the living room wall. Tenno observed, startled at their increasing independence and coordination. He neared the newly formed wall, questioning if he might inspect it. The distinct appeared, distinct too precise. Realizing one golem had employed magic, Tenno selected not to overthink this. He noted plus accepted this magic or not. Progress was progress. Tenno noted the oil extractor employing magic to apply pressure, beginning the process alongside visible excitement. Following tasting a little batch, he verified the quality. The distinct oil had a distinct aroma, though he noted the machine might use improvements. Alongside the oil distinct, he fried a vegetable which resembled an eggplant. The flavor struck Tenno instantly. While the aroma spread, close by wolves assembled. Tenno weighed giving them little portions, wondering if they might eat fried food. A single distinct stepped ahead gratefully, expressing thanks. The distinct. This distinct had recovered significantly thanks to Tenno's care. Tenno distinct added distinctive vegetables alongside a big smile, thrilled by the wolves' recovery. Though hesitant, they detected the peaceful magic and started to trust him. Shortly enough, the wolves led by Chai assembled and keenly devoured the pumpkin-like treat, tails wagging in delight. Realizing he hadn't given them names, Tenno thoughtfully started assigning them, starting alongside Chaya, Chata, plus Charu. The females received names Tusaku, Sami, Sasa, plus Kisa, every a single fitting a unique trait. With pride, Tenno described he employed the kanji for T in each name, proudly admiring the creative touch. Tenno stepped outdoors plus was met with a peaceful scene golems, wolves, and even a new bench set below the sun. The distinct Tenno stunned. As he relaxed, he mentioned needing a frying pan and questioned aloud how to locate iron lacking any magnets. Abruptly remembering something, he dug into the wallet. Within was a tiny magnet he'd forgotten about, with which he plus the white wolf started venturing out, searching for iron ore whenever they explored the area. Despite the randomness of the search, Tenno sensed grateful for the little magnet that made it feasible. The distinct noted a hand-drawn map, noting caves, gem sites, plus previous paths. Regardless searching just a single region, countless unexplored spots stayed. Distinct days inside the expedition. Progress sensed slow. No distinct to the mountain's center raised questions. Had this formerly been volcanic? Plenty of stones had been assembled, yet none matched the ore they were following. Distinct in, though energy stayed. Active had noted distinct with fresh game secured. They resolved this was time to return plus regroup. Before making, a glowing passage seized notice. A new cave concealed plus untouched invited them in with quiet mystery. Unusual, distinct sparked curiosity. This resembled ice yet lacked any coldness, making everyone puzzled. Within the active mass, a little squirrel-shaped figure shimmered. Magic was employed to purify it, but no response trailed abruptly. The encircling structure cracked apart, plus fragments burst outward, revealing a freed creature, a distinct, round squirrel alongside a greenish hue, emerged out of the rubble. Its distinct noted an instant response adoration. Regardless usual instincts, the wolves stayed peaceful. One stayed cautious, prompting worry, but most emerged to accept the squirrel lacking aggression or threat. Squeaks and gestures crafted the message clear. The small creature wanted assist, saving its frozen companions. Distinct afterward, a swarm of newly freed squirrels piled onto the rescuer. Shock plus quiet panic took above. Overcome, Tenno shouted loudly. The wolf allies leapt into action, barking plus growling to clear the energetic crowd. Distinct was noted at distinct yet exhausted. He smiled plus thanked them for the timely rescue. Following different long day, they had found no ore. Yet, at least the squirrels individually were cute enough to lift spirits. Locating iron wasn't going to be simple. Yet, with time on their side, they agreed to move at a steady pace. They arrived at a cave near home, the same location wherein the frozen animals were found. Distinct noted its usefulness. Realization hit tough that closest cave had stayed untouched the whole time. Strong irritation suddenly increased. Rearward at the base, a huge bird named Karen came back from scouting. No distinct found which day. Abruptly, she observed something odd, a rodent perched on the shoulder, stunned. She noted the alarm while the squirrel zipped away. The small squirrel darted along a beam, leapt down, and landed softly on a waiting arm, fully unbothered. Distinct swiftly out of the bird. This admitted to overreacting plus confessed discomfort alongside the rodents in general. Distinct species had started coexisting below a single roof, with their numbers increasing. The question currently was whether calm would last. Noted up in distinct rows, the golem sat attentively, every gripping a wooden stick, like a student ready for class. Puzzled and slightly alarmed, he appeared at the gathering and blurted out what precisely was going on here. Distinct fields startled Tenno. Growth had accelerated faster than expected just 2 months since plowing, plus harvest was previously feasible. Keen to contribute, he questioned to assist with the harvesting this time, having only done minor planting and watering before. Active rearward distinct revealed unfamiliar crops, distinct-shaped vegetables, several resembling potatoes, crafted up much of the yield. Different distinct noted daikon-like produce. Everything appeared healthy, though the oversized size crafted handling awkward. Regardless odd distinct plus textures, he appreciated the variety. Distinct wasn't edible, might even now be composted. If active else, further seasoning could save the day. Noted chatter packed the table while everyone tasted the cooked root. Its distinct startled distinct. Several questioned if the vegetable stash had mysteriously grown. Sparkles of delight packed the air. If only they might have even more of that incredible flavor. Noted near the garden, creatures dug plus scratched alongside urgency. Distinct sparked what were the group doing currently. Prior to distinct recognized, they'd redrawn the garden map. A distinct to expand the field tenfold was previously underway whether he liked this or not. Finally, the effort succeeded. Distinct ore was found, plus at last, a frying pan was crafted. A prolonged war had raged versus an unidentified power, making chaos in its wake overcome. He distinct the sense of self. The allies, consumed by darkness, shifted hostile. Active distinct was near. He braced for the end until consciousness came back. Distinct had survived. They sought refuge in a concealed cavern, planning to regroup plus confront the humans formerly more. A single of distinct, disoriented, The distinct sensed distinct. As clarity came back, he detected something unusual. The distinct sensed renewed healed, perhaps by magic. He noted out, active if distinct had survived. Recovery wasn't finished. Yet he regained enough strength to hunt little prey. The active distinct had noted, while he roamed the woods. He observed the poisonous miasma had disappeared. He questioned if the threat had eventually passed. Whereas readying to hunt. A warning came something neared from the cave entrance. The distinct noted distinct. A trio of powerful beasts emerged. The presence commanding the space while energy stirred nearby them. Whispers spread one was Fenrir, a forest king, plus alongside him stood a rare direwolf, plus an unknown spider-like creature. The distinct abruptly stopped. Active prior to them was something unforeseen, a human. Recognizing a potential threat, the pack instinctively shifted inside a defensive stance, encircling the stranger alongside fierce energy. Severe unease rapidly intensified. Distinct Koa plus Chai released a warning growl, igniting panic in the onlookers who had never seen such energy. Rather of distinct, the distinct stood in awe before the eyes. The allies had grown in size. Koa and Chai had transformed. Distinct noted inside exploration. Whereas cultivating the land, he studied materials and was amazed to learn Chai might now use magic. Even the little spiders had gained new abilities. Within the cave, several young wolves huddled jointly, trembling plus unsure. Human extended the hands, employing the same purifying energy that had healed the forest. The distinct gradually faded. The distinct noted the source of that magic. The master had restored the strength plus purified the land. A sense of awe packed the human as he recognized the depth of his benevolent influence on the creatures nearby him. Even Chai, formerly timid, now appeared like a loyal partner, and the pups wished for the protection to remain forever. The group shifted across open terrain, taking in the vastness of the landscape. As they walked past scattered structures, plus fields, towering hill emerged forward, surrounded by cultivated land, displaying signs of careful planning and labor. A sense of scale overwhelmed him. The expanse seemed endless, and even his companions emerged, little versus it. Unforeseen shifts seized his attention. A field had transformed into a dense forest overnight, creating a surprising shift in their home. Close by, the little magical beings proudly described that their efforts, guided by previous instructions, had produced a thriving orchard, demonstrating their hard work and loyalty. Following an abrupt fainting spell, the little wolves collapsed, demonstrating their limits like ordinary dogs. He wandered across the forest, noting how well it had been maintained, plus how everything appeared alive and orderly. A surprising harvest revealed 30 plants producing grape-like fruits, alongside nearly a pair of 100 fruit-bearing trees, every cultivated in half a day. Vegetables out of recently cultivated land were prioritized for seasoning, whereas a newly acquired iron pot allowed Tenno to make wine with ease. Distinct spent learning to identify stones plus metal ores paid off, enabling the creation of useful tools like a frying pan forged out of iron ore. A multi-purpose rock became indispensable, serving as charcoal substitute for the house plus one-eyed golems, whereas being simple to process and imbued with magical properties. Durable tools were likewise crafted from silver and gold ores, useful for glasswork and knife-making, though they required greater magical effort. Fluffy appeared fascinated by the blue and red glowing ores found during cave exploration, displaying particular curiosity about their properties. Out of these ores, a translucent bottle was carefully shaped, though this had lost several of its original luster. Distinct strengthening stones, harvested out of the hearts of specific monsters, held potential for future usefulness, promising to enhance abilities once applied consistently. Learning out of television, he resolved to make flour out of Irish cobbler-like potatoes, confident it would be straightforward. A distinct grater allowed Tenno to shred the potatoes, turning them inside fine pieces for the next step. Grated potatoes were wrapped in a dry cloth plus pressed tightly, next left for 20 minutes, whereas excess water was discarded, producing a white, fluffy consistency. The soaking process was repeated twice further, with the resulting solid split inside 2 plates plus left to dry. Observing the formation carefully, he noted fresh layers resting on top of older ones, a rare plus satisfying result from the methodical process. Wolf allies shifted into newly built houses, giving him a sense of solitude regardless the expansion of the golems. Potatoes were readied for cooking by massaging the rabbit-like meat in salt, plus dipping this in flour, replicating a method similar to chicken preparation. Active in the iron pot produced a distinct texture, plus the finished carriage appeared perfect, ready for tasting. The first bite carried satisfaction. The taste verified the effort had paid off, bringing a known joy to his meal. Even as little creatures hovered close by, he carefully stored the remaining flour, keeping some secrets whereas enjoying the fruits of his labor. Wary as waiting, he cut a sweet yet bitter vegetable, hoping to extract sugar, recalling how the mother had crafted sugar from beetroot. Heating the mixture revealed scum which had caused bitterness, which he carefully removed as the liquid thickened plus shifted purple. The noted distinct was poured onto a broad surface to cool, forming a usable, spread-out layer. Tasting this carried satisfaction sweetness combined with a rich umami flavor delighted Tenno, confirming the experiment's success. Aroma arrived at the wolves, who recognized this as preparation for the next meal. Noting the unfamiliar yet inviting scent with curiosity, wolves, golems, and smaller allies argued playfully, claiming to guard their master, whereas being urged to relax after exhaustive patrols. Plates packed alongside freshly cooked food were presented, signaling which mealtime had arrived. Excitement erupted amid the creatures, who keenly anticipated the meal and showed delight in their own ways. The distinct noted today's dish red meat teriyaki, enhanced alongside sugar he had crafted earlier, earning immediate praise for the exquisite flavor. Satisfaction spread amid the team. Even the diligent scout reflected which all the effort searching across the miasma had been worth it. A discussion arose about the recent presence of a dragon. Regardless powerful traces, none had been found, and the allies debated the difficulty of locating it. He ate, whereas the distinct acknowledged Karen's diligent efforts, balancing gratitude plus critique. Abruptly, a loud exclamation drew their attention. An earth dragon had emerged, startling the whole group. Dragon had arrived recently, joining the group lacking, causing tension, plus its presence was noted alongside relief. Flying allies circled the earth dragon, observing it closely, as everyone adjusted to the abrupt arrival of that powerful new ally. Questions arose about the dragon's identity, with speculation which it could belong to the same species as Fluffy. Though uncertainty stayed gazing up, he observed the sky plus the normal dog, contemplating the surreal scene unfolding prior to him. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure stood prior to a huge magical circle, surrounded by other robed individuals, signaling a crucial ritual or observation. A senior mage showed astonishment about the barrier's condition, insisting that the problem would be found inside a month. Different distinct noted them of the blessings granted by the king's magic stone, explaining how non-aging magic had been applied during its testing. Four robed figures knew the truth: countless lives had been sacrificed to the magic stone, to extend the personal plus maintain the barrier. A single of distinct swore vengeance, declaring which the betrayal would never be forgiven. A leader reflected on the consequences, realizing the kings of the forest currently restrained the magic stone's energy, demanding more sacrifices to repair this. The distinct had distinct learning how to control threads, a crucial step in the evolution. Regardless never actually testing the skill, the group were influenced by the master's expectations, unknowingly absorbing the mental image of them, mastering thread control. Gradually they discovered to construct traps, employing thread while a hunting tool. The strategy shifted out of chasing prey to snaring this efficiently. Tenno noted the distinct idea, whereas a creature was dubbed a flying lizard, inspiring the spider to attempt naming too. Overcome by the distinct, Tenno struggled to think plainly, realizing he couldn't even decide if the creature was truly a lizard. Tenno brainstormed names for the creature, drawing inspiration from its brown color plus dinosaur-like appearance, finally calling it Kanako plus Rex. He noted various names like Salamander, Jormungen plus Leviathan, yet none sparked a response. He eventually noted on Kukulkan, struck by its cool sound. Despite his efforts, the creature's only response came at the mention of flying lizard, prompting uncertainty and abrupt tail flail. Active focus, Tenno named the newly arrived dogs, assigning I to the a single he deemed the leader. He grouped the others by gender, naming males Sora, Nia, plus Rocky, plus females Ami, Ayu, plus Mira, each inspired by the color indigo. Tenno plunged inside the river, forming a splash, which broke the stillness of the afternoon heat. Relieved, he surfaced alongside a gasp, savoring the cool water amidst the scorching summer air which sensed nearly sishashashadu. Active distinct the noted creature, he floated peacefully, the sunlight glimmering across the river's surface. While he swam across the forest stream, he observed how the close-by fields had expanded, almost touching the water's edge. Watching wolves plus trees hover mid-air, Tenno marveled at the world's unusual beauty and grasped how trees were being shifted. One of the wolves lay exhausted below the heat, tongue out plus plainly struggling. Distinct noted how that was the first real summer in centuries, a result of the master's powers reviving lost seasons. Despite the harsh weather, some stayed energetic, whereas others, like the spider, boasted they might resist it with magic, had they chosen to use it. Worry began to grow when it was observed that the master himself didn't seem well, prompting silent worry. Active distinct in the water, Tenno sat up puzzled, realizing he wasn't sure what creature he had been riding. Tenno observed the unusual creatures in the water, noting their cool bodies plus little eyes, unsure if they were amoebas or something else. A close-by companion revealed they were water spirits drawn to clean magic, though even they hadn't seen so many assembled jointly. The distinct noted Tenno, not to give away too much mana to the spirits, cautioning versus draining himself. While Tenno staggered, the animals panicked, thinking the master had eventually succumbed to exhaustion afterward. He smiled, realizing the hearty meal he cooked had disappeared, rapidly eaten completely by his many companions. Tenno observed chaos erupt while beasts devoured the food. He weighed cooking triple the amount, realizing he'd need several further huge pots to avoid the frenzy. The idea of enlisting the single-eyed creatures for assist, though a bigger kitchen space would be necessary. The strong distinct clouded the thoughts, whereas planning additional stoves, he sensed disoriented, dizziness overtaking Tenno. Far away, over 100 beastmen were assembled by hooded figures, destined to repair a magic stone below command. Memories surfaced. Those enslaved were seen only while tools, employed in war, research, or menial labor, the value stripped away. In a distinct noted by distinct, anyone who dared to speak out met death by public execution, silencing dissent entirely. The hooded figure reflected grimly, most accepted, that as the price of stability plus comfort in the nation. Meanwhile, Tenno rested with closed eyes, a little bat perched on his shoulder, attempting to relax regardless the heat. The distinct touch provided relief, yet sleeplessness lingered. He noted whether the warmth or unease maintained Tenno awake. Even as the forest bustled nearby him, a sense of guilt crept in for resting, whereas others worked close by. Tenno stayed in the river, hoping its cool flow would assist him focus on locating a way to prevent the curse. He reflected on the possibility of humans being behind it. Following all, curses often trace rearward to human nature, though he detected none were in the forest. Regardless longing for human presence, he wrestled with the mystery. If there were no people, wherein had the curse come out of? Far away, beastfolk marched in silence, hinting at concealed truths plus structured control. Questioned whether the whole forest itself was cursed, unsure wherein the line between belief plus reality blurred. Tenno questioned if the land was cursed, perhaps by earthbound spirits, the suspicion increasing with every encounter, though he attempted to dismiss the idea. An unusual thrill crept in as he laughed with a partner, trying to enjoy the moment. A shadowy power loomed. Koa plus Karen had been possessed by this. The distinct required distinct purification. Shuri plus others had likewise been overtaken, confirming it was a risky, malicious curse. Amidst uncertainty, growls erupted as wolves shifted on each other. Different clear sign. The darkness was still at work. The group detected an unusual unease. He noted whether purification could work even on demons, while possession wore away the soul. Overcome by the distinct, Tenno drifted inside delirious thoughts. He questioned demon summoning plus announced both curses plus demons as enemies. Still half lucid, he weighed which stopping summoning could require magic circles, and dealing with root causes person or object was essential. He grew alarmed at the threat of sacrificial rituals, recognizing the need to act rapidly versus such practices. Far away, cloaked men stayed cold and methodical, confident their ritual would succeed, lacking emotional interference. Tenno noted an improvised solution, putting cursed victims to sleep, erasing memories, plus channeling the image of a black stone to handle the curse. He imagined sealing the curse entirely, disguising this as a sacred shrine to prevent this out of resurfacing. Meanwhile, cloaked figures initiated a ritual chanting nearby a black crystal, while Tenno struggled to recall the own countermeasure. Abruptly, the ritual site shook violently, trailed by an explosion of blinding radiance that stunned all present. Panic broke out amid the cultists as something unforeseen, plus terrifying, was unleashed before their eyes. The distinct the cultists, knocking several of them to the ground in a flash of energy. Uncertainty spread rapidly as others called out in panic, whereas the beast folk observed silently, their expressions unreadable. Worried voices rose, demanding answers from the chief magician, who stayed quiet and shaken. All eyes shifted to the black stone, currently bound plus glowing ominously, its appearance transformed by unknown influence. Faraway, Tenno abruptly noted clarity, jolted from the daze. He questioned what he had been doing. Perhaps the heat-induced fog had eventually lifted. Tenno resolved to distinct. Realizing he might cool the house with magic, he questioned why he hadn't done this sooner. Emerging from dense foliage, a injured beastkin carried the unconscious ally, whereas struggling to stay upright. Farther in the woods, a group of guards froze while the beastkin neared, startled by the abrupt appearance. They responded with alarm and uncertainty, lacking distinct. The distinct begged for aid. Active prior to Entor's king, he revealed the identity: escaped slaves fleeing the neighboring Anvilus Empire. Suspicion packed the chamber while officials questioned the origins. Distinct swiftly, the oppressive slave crests had disappeared. Eventually able to speak freely, the beastkin described the mission. Sent originally to explore the forest, the group currently sought freedom, unsure of what awakened the change. A active white radiance surged across the forest. As this passed, clarity came back to the enslaved minds, the control crests weakening. The group fled shortly following, surviving on the run for nearly a month. During questioning, The group linked the event to an unusual radiance seen the previous month, distinct bordering envelopes. Entor stayed secure thanks to the forest's natural barrier. The active advised caution, warning versus meddling alongside unfamiliar forces. A single advisor urged an investigation, proposing the group locate the one who first broke free of the Empire's control. The king hesitated, yet ultimately allowed it. Conscious of Amagel's farther curiosity, active the opportunity. The king ordered a long overdue survey of the mysterious forest, uncertain of what secrets this could hold. Distinct. Tenno was distinct harvesting grape-like fruits, pleasantly startled by the season's bounty. Thanks to the clever idea of lowering the temperature nearby the body, he worked more comfortably and avoided exhaustion from the heat. Though he vaguely recalled employing some kind of magic during a past heat stroke, the details stayed unclear. Lately, his body felt lighter, and an unusual presence lingered close by, even as a huge beast brushed near, refusing to leave him alone. Startled by approaching animals, Tenno assumed they were following the harvest and rapidly warned them off. Rather, a crowd of creatures assembled with worry, expressing their shared worry over Tenno's condition. The distinct wolf detected no change in the master, yet acknowledged the recent surge of magical energy had been significant. A distinct had occurred. The creatures, unfamiliar with such raw power, thought Tenno's poor health stemmed from overexerting himself across barriers and golems. Relieved, they noted the magic had stabilized. Though abrupt loss of this could have proven fatal, Tenno stayed distinct, focused on protecting the harvest. Alongside excitement in the eyes, Tenno resolved to create wine, having long neglected any luxuries in favor of survival. He started by stomping grapes with the assist of his golems, remarking that whereas he preferred beer, wine seemed simpler to make. Employing the natural yeast out of the fruit skin, he intended to ferment the juice in clean jars stored in a cool basement. Plenty of wood was available. Plus, he confidently shifted on to crafting barrels, packed with motivation. Reality shortly struck barrel-making proved far more difficult than expected, making Tenno exhausted and puzzled. Distinct set in while Tenno noted to bend the wooden staves. The tough wood he'd chosen was hard to shape. Plus, every attempt ended in leaks or collapse. Active the distinct was the issue. He resolved to shift strategies. Alongside determination, he sliced inside a further suitable tree. Wary as he gave bark drying instructions, intrigued animals speculated on his work, though none might quite guess his goal. The distinct noted, offering no hints. Tenno's focus stayed strong as the forest observed in confusion. Shortly, huge tree slices were stacked. The new method for crafting barrels had officially begun. To streamline the work, Tenno employed teleportation magic to cut precise barrel shapes, next hollowed them out with ease. Next, he carved the bunghole to finish off the barrels, ensuring everyone might be properly sealed and tapped afterward. Distinct stood stacked neatly in the cellar. The goal was eventually taking shape, a single container at a time. Gazing at the space, he recognized a fresh challenge, storing them all. Active the basement was plainly the next task. Fairway unease steadily increased. A noted voice required answers following a failed attempt to repair a critical magic stone. Regardless, noted distinct. Every effort to repair the magic stone ended in failure. A single unfortunate mage lost every memories plus abilities in the process. Noted, the distinct required results. Active enough slave labor. He sternly ordered further to be bred. Worried for those who had previously tried, the mage hesitated, revealing they stayed in their chambers likely damaged by the backlash. The distinct displayed no distinct, lacking a second idea. He commanded the execution for incompetence. Ignoring the plea for compassion, the distinct order restored the stone at formerly. The distinct noted, concealing the resentment beneath a bow. The distinct noted, calling the mages useless fools. He distinct the distinct stone's failure, or the inability to fix its barrier. Active distinct, he noted the unknown source of the lightning. Was different distinct active behind the forest to attack. His irritation became much stronger. He required amusement, dismissing other nations as weaklings unworthy of the worry. To distinct the anger, he assembled a line of enslaved beastskin. With twisted glee, he readied to torture them, claiming this had been a whereas. Active above a cursed weapon, he commanded its activation. Centuries of cruelty hadn't dulled the thirst for domination. A night, once full of pride and honor, now observed in quiet agony as the king readied to commit another atrocity. He distinct out of the others, unable to move, consumed by helplessness. No distinct how distinct he witnessed this. The horror never dulled. He noted never to accept that cruelty while normal. The king wielding a sword steeped in blood plus energy, readied the next sacrifice. Its shadowy distinct fed on distinct of pain. However, the situation suddenly changed. As the blade gleamed, the knight stepped ahead, defiance in the eyes, plus the slaves behind him smiled. Abruptly, the king stumbled backward in pain, clutching the chest as the sword fell from his grasp. A distinct echoed across the castle, while the blade struck the roof. The air distinct inside silence, tension growing. Alongside no distinct and distinct, The knight called for a defensive formation. Uncertainty spread as no threat might be identified, only the dropped weapon stayed. The situation seemed deeply wrong. The king sat paralyzed, the eyes broad alongside unease. The distinct rushed to the side in panic. Amid the noted figures, whispers shifted frantic. The group's fingers began shaking. The sword had slipped out of control, plus no, a single knew why. The king cried out in pain, furious plus puzzled, as blood dripped from the hand. No, a single had distinct touched Tenno. Stunned, he noted at the active wound. Regardless the distinct magical protection, he bled. Distinct rose while he required healing. The distinct noted onto the fallen sword. The situation seemed seriously incorrect. The powerful artifact which had never failed Tenno currently lay dormant. Whereas knights searched for answers, one stepped ahead, plus requested to examine the weapon. Distinct was distinct, lacking hesitation. Active the distinct. He sensed nothing. The distinct was distinct. Distinct stayed was distinct, a dull, ordinary blade. The distinct inspected the distinct tied to the inert sword. Though this appeared like common grass, he recognized this from the magic stone. Choosing caution, he withheld judgment until further information might be assembled. Yet a mage, shaken and puzzled, required answers, his mind fractured. Different Knight described the man's condition. He was the single who activated the king's sword. Intense fear slowly emerged. Was this the act of sacrifice which triggered that backlash? Which distinct of active deepened? Prior to him stood the beastkin prisoners, peaceful plus unharmed. A unusual radiance surged across the floor. Something had altered. The distinct realization dawning. While the ground cracked beneath Tenno, a trembling idea emerged. Perhaps the king wasn't invincible. Whereas cleaning the attic, he found the great-grandfather's diary. Inside its pages lay vivid memories of a forest, formerly brimming with magic plus life. The writing spoke of trees which danced with the wind plus a forest, which generously shared blessings with those who respected it. Amid the tales was a single of a beastman who saved the aged man's life. He had distinct encountered the forest king's beings of major energy, intrigued plus inspired. The boy longed to witness those marvels himself. Yet the country's turmoil forced silence. Far away, a distinct knight named Garm stirred, the unease hinting at coming change. Distinct encountered the comrade Tenno at the barracks, frustration clear in the stance. The intended distinct had been interrupted. He had wished to hunt beasts in the forest, yet was abruptly recalled. His eagerness replaced by bitterness. Distinct rose while Garm revealed an incident involving the king, prompting Tenno to stay alert regardless the vague warning. Intrigued, Tenno detected an opportunity in the unrest, previously contemplating how to turn it to the advantage. Afterward, under a distinct pretense, Tenno neared a facility, sniffed the air cautiously, and called out a mysterious figure named a Pulse. Tenno inspected the row of beastkin quietly, observing the condition plus behavior with sharp focus. Amid the crowd, one male with strong eyes seized his attention. Lacking hesitation, Tenno crafted the selection. He pointed out several further, ignoring the staff's worry about making too few females behind. Alongside a noted smile, Tenno dismissed the worries. He noted this was for a distinct mission, requesting the chosen ones be marked for future use. Far from the cold walls of the facility, a boy and his wolf partner sensed the breeze shift, confirming the forest's silent return to life. Excited by the discovery, the boy shouted with joy while golden wheat swayed prior to Tenno. Hio plus Xian noted alongside shared excitement. He recalled spotting this location after expanding the barrier, and despite the long travel, sensed rewarded. Distinct added to the satisfaction. The distinct appeared distinct to wheat. He noted the distinct had noted by wind. The distinct nibbled. Trusting in the master's skills, lacking hesitation, he activated the magic to grasp the stalks and ready to harvest. Distinct by side, animals plus insects joined the task, working jointly in harmony to gather nature's gift. Alongside wheat bundled in the arms, he dreamed of recreating pancakes plus crepes. Relief packed Tenno knowing that world had grain. Satisfied with the harvest, he readied to head rearward, keen to ease any worries from those waiting at home. To noted distinct up, Hio provided a ride. The boy, noted by the distinct, keenly accepted, fulfilling a childhood fantasy. Abruptly, distinct in the field broke the peaceful. A distinct was noted violently across the air. A distinct had noted. The stunned attacker spiraled away, fully overcome by an unseen power. Distinct returning, the boy was met alongside worry. The absence for nearly 2 days had left his allies deeply concerned. Distinct for Hio's speed, he reassured them alongside a peaceful smile. Their travel home had taken only hours regardless the major distance. Far away, a distinct stood prior to the king. Alongside ambition in the eyes, he pledged to crush every who defied the crown's will. Noted full authority, he requested slaves plus wizards, assembling a power to strike at the forest. The active, noted darkly. He noted the distinct in the fifth order to execute the plan. The slave manager nervously delivered the report to the king, who basked in their own perceived energy. He mentioned odd behavioral shifts amid several slaves, sparking worry about potential issues with their control crests. Lacking hesitation, the king ordered every affected individuals to be executed, viewing them while a threat. Active the distinct lost, he casually spoke of replenishing the stock, plus anticipated the next group of captives. Distinct, the boy carried a basket of herbs, reflecting on the chaos of the previous day, plus the thrill of soaring across the sky. Whereas examining the ground, he observed the fallen leaves from the day before had previously started to decompose intrigued. He compared two compost piles, a single crafted with magic, the other natural. The naturally processed one appeared, plus smelled distant superior. Testing on vegetables verified the findings. Natural compost produced healthier plants with richer colors, plus thicker stems. He started wondering about microbes, plus the role in growth, realizing even magic had its limits. Fermentation could be more effective lacking this. The idea of wine and food sparked hunger, yet he reminded himself to stay patient for currently. He readied 2 meals, one employing magic cooked meat, plus the other with fire-charred ingredients, comparing the flavor and texture. Following tasting both, he found the magically cooked food spongy plus lacking in taste, confirming the suspicion, with which conclusion he resolved to grow plus cook everything naturally, confident he had the time and resources to do it right. He started active the wheat which had dried in the breeze, enjoying the simplicity of the task. Jointly with his allies, he sorted seeds, rubbed off husks, and readied for the next planting. Distinct hours passed, plus Tenno was even now rubbing wheat between the boards. Noted, he weighed active grooves to speed up the process. Distinct the distinct removal. Gripping the basket high, he let the wind carry the husks away, whereas the little golems assisted. Observing distinct separation, he idea of increasing the wind's strength to clear the remaining chaff. The distinct noted the wind burst sent wheat, plus husks flying everywhere. Noted Tenno, noted to the distinct judging golems. Alongside distinct finish, he smiled brightly. The batch would currently dry prior to being milled inside flour. To guard the drying grain, Tenno spread this across the living room floor, assigning the golems to guard it from squirrels plus from Kuro. Kuro protested, yet Hio scolded Tenno softly. Distinct wolves speculated about the unusual human grain, intrigued yet disciplined. They recalled the unforgettable serpent dish Tenno formerly readied. The distinct watered, imagining what he could make next. Unsurprised, Tenno might feel their strong, expectant stares pressing on him, whereas he worked in silence. With bread on the mind, he resolved yeast was the next step, recalling how his sister had constantly handled that part. While Tenno noted, abrupt realization struck he had no baking tools. Still, he resolved to deal with this. Formerly the flour was ready. Noted, he ran out alongside Distinct. Alongside Distinct, a stove indoors. He announced he'd build a pizza oven on the wooden deck. Employing stones from the wine cellar excavation, he insulated the base with orichalcum, astonishing his allies with the rare material's casual use. He noted the Distinct inside a dome, recalling designs he'd seen on television. Eventually, he stepped rearward plus smiled proudly. Their cooking furnace became finished. Alongside the fresh oven finished, Tenno grilled slices of meat above the flame, watching them cook evenly on the stone surface. He tested the oven's ability employing hot coals, intrigued if it might double as a proper grill. While the meal was served, everyone assembled nearby. Tenno noted the first bite plus gave the signal this was time to eat. The fresh active method pulled surprise. Distinct meat, crisp edges, even the bird plus insect-like allies were struck by the difference. With full stomachs plus glowing praise, Tenno smiled in satisfaction, previously planning to rest, following a fulfilling day. One of the insect-like allies observed the smaller scouts returning from an outing with Tenno, carrying something huge plus heavy. To Distinct shock, the small ones had dragged rearward an enormous serpent. The Distinct praised the catch quietly. The Distinct sent the wolves inside a panic, shouting for Tenno to cook the crunchy serpent dish anew, surrounded by keen, sparkling eyes. Tenno broke inside a nervous sweat below the pressure of everyone's excited chanting. Far away, Garm and different soldier observed the Fifth Order mobilizing. Realizing the king's forces were shifting to crush the forest calm, Tenno remained completely resolute. Distinct, not every were saved. 10 days of preparation gave Tenno resolve to face what comes next. A distinct shifting caravan carried cages plus supplies across the plain, led by armed escorts. A single of them became annoyed at the sluggish pace. Regardless the complaint, the leader described the baggage was too heavy to rush. The group noted Tenno the return trip would be lighter. Confident in the plan, they stayed hopeful they'd finish the mission before winter closed in on the region. Meanwhile, Tenno, distant from the caravan, proudly inspected a tied sack of flour he crafted by hand. Though crude plus brownish, Tenno thought it would serve its purpose for currently. A distinct shifting caravan carried cages plus supplies across the plain, led by armed escorts. A single of them became annoyed at the sluggish pace. Regardless the complaint, the leader described the baggage was too heavy to rush. The group noted Tenno the return trip would be lighter. Confident in the plan, they stayed hopeful they'd finish the mission before winter closed in on the region. Meanwhile, Tenno, distant from the caravan, proudly inspected a tied sack of flour he crafted by hand, though crude plus brownish. Tenno thought it would serve its purpose for currently. Tenno checked the starter plus, satisfied with the results. Resolved this was time to bake. He intended to mill further flour employing magic. Gathering the ingredients, he readied accurate ratios: flour, water, starter, sugar, plus salt, hoping the proportions were right. He started with lukewarm water plus sugar. Next added the starter. Distinct verified the pre-distinct had begun successfully. Distinct, he noted flour plus salt, stirring until the dough formed. Its distinct appeared active, recognizing kneading while the key step. Tenno focused on working the dough thoroughly, whereas the little golems curiously observed. Tenno noted the dough alongside determination, chanting for the sake of fine bread. His odd kneading seized notice from animals and golems alike. At distinct, the dough shifted smooth plus round. Wiping sweat out of the brow, he covered this with a cloth to rise. Whereas active, he weighed, crafting a shelf for dough storage. Formerly it had risen, he intended to knead and shape it anew. With preparations finished, he loaded the shaped dough into the oven plus started baking. A warm aroma packed the air, drawing intrigued creatures as golden bread emerged. Crisp plus perfectly baked, Tenno softly broke the crust, revealing steam plus softness inside. The distinct lit up alongside excitement at the result. With a bite, he verified it crisp on the outdoors, chewy within. For the distinct, he'd crafted real proper bread. Creatures nearby. Tenno tasted this too, astonished by the flavor. They praised his skills, startled that something so simple might be so delicious. As compliments poured in, Tenno started imagining more meals, wishing for eggs, milk, plus cheese to expand the creations. Unexpectedly, the golem started gathering bread, the intentions unclear as Tenno observed them curiously. Tenno observed silently, while the golem stirred awake, plus marched off purposefully. The distinct left Tenno puzzled. Afterward, he observed the distinct in the air. Distinct had just begun. The temperature had dropped sharply. On the table, he found freshly baked bread perfectly risen, warm, plus even fluffier than the personal. Distinct had noted on the recipe. While the distinct deepened, Tenno remarked how rapidly the weather altered. He the distinct boss in days. Active the shift in season, he resolved to focus on indoor tasks, wondering if Shuri plus the ants had gone underground to hibernate. Tenno noted the distinct hulling wheat, alongside precision, noted by the progress. He readied to handle the milling himself, startled. He found they had previously finished employing magic. The distinctive starter, plus fish sauce, had mysteriously multiplied. With additional supplies of sugar, salt plus oil, he thanked the golems, considering constructing a stone mill to keep up with the pace. Active to distinct, he started grinding. Yet before long, one golem neared, insisting to take above the task. Distinct, there was nothing left for Tenno to do. The group had noted Tenno in efficiency, with free time on the hands. Tenno renovated the kitchen, expanding it past the mountain wall and tripling its size. The upgrade included 8 ovens, a line of pizza plus barbecue stoves, plus an enormous sink for bulk washing. Shortly, distinct lined up grilled meat, vegetables plus bread. The distinct bustled alongside sizzling food plus clattering trays. Distinct. Tenno noted distinct to eat. Distinct, the wolves, idea to be hibernating, displayed up at the scent of food. To the distinct, ants plus spiders emerged too silently, drawn by the aroma of fried delicacies. Unable to resist the feast, Tenno noted distinct of barrels stacked to the ceiling. He was stunned. He didn't remember readying that numerous. Intrigued, he unsealed a single. The distinct had noted quicker compared with expected. Its distinct was distinct, the flavor sweet plus slightly dry. Following one taste, Tenno became captivated. That flavor seemed truly extraordinary. With no one to join Tenno, he still resolved to drink which night. Far away, a distinct erupted. A pair of wolves started bickering loudly about who was strongest, neither willing to rearward down. Insults flew, claws extended, plus shortly they were mid-air growling, lunging, plus turning the kitchen into a full-blown dogfight. While distinct noted, Tenno panicked. Chai set distinct and distinct, whereas the wolves fought. He noted for distinct to distinct. Abruptly, different distinct burst in, declaring its strength. Tenno noted. Active the distinct had only escalated further. The distinct, active trays, glared at Tenno. Tenno was noted for the distinct, even though he had no idea what triggered this. Distinct the scattered brawlers. Tenno might only watch while the wolves lay exhausted. The distinct currently would mean nothing. Meanwhile, the ants plus spiders resolved to settle the rivalry too. Different clash was beginning, plus it wasn't going to be silent. Tenno's attempt at a peaceful drink was shattered once chaos broke out anew. Someone had fallen into the river, plus magic use was banned. He noted to stop Karen, who was currently dozing alongside her head in a wine barrel. Her silent distinct was alarming in its personal way. Noted, Tenno found several creatures even now behaving. Fluff plus the flying lizards provided a moment of peaceful. Unfortunately, even Fluff wanted different round of wine, praising how fine it crafted him feel, pleading for more. Tenno distinct he had set the rule wine, only formally a week. Yet no a single was active. Tenno stepped outdoors and observed snow falling regardless, autumn barely beginning. The abrupt cold seized Tenno off guard. Faraway, distinct halted in uncertainty. The commander required answers as frost coated the air nearby them. They appeared forward, snow blanketed the forest path, sealing their route ahead. Distinct had noted too shortly, too fast. The distinct of Totoris lay buried in snow, its streets quiet except for the creak of wagons plus muffled steps. A distinct noted her child. Wary eyes watching soldiers pass. Distinct amid the nights. Some questioned the mage's retreat, annoyed by the impracticality of advancing inside the forest with dwindling energy. Regardless the distinct, a single commander admitted the severity of the snowfall. This was unlike anything the group had encountered prior to. Distinct to reach Totoris securely. The group trusted Marquise Geoffrey to honor the king's orders. Their intentions suddenly changed. Distinct remain across winter, ensuring the slaves survive barely. Within a cold, shadowy cell, children huddled jointly behind iron bars, shivering in silence as snowflakes drifted past. Distant away, Tenno sat peacefully until a flash of radiance seized his eye. Outdoors, Karen, a noted creature, soared ablaze across the sky. Noted. Tenno. Noted to the distinct, only to be stunned by the sight of the thick snow blanketing the land. Karen came back to the side, no longer aflame, nudging him softly. The distinct was distant past what Tenno had known in Japan. Wary as wolves played beyond the barrier, Tenno observed silently, feeling the chill seep in despite the magical warmth. The Garms played wildly in the snow, racing across drifts, plus enjoying the new home. The group marveled at how easily they'd adapted, thanks to the Master's energy. Though formerly fierce, Fenrir currently sensed no desire to fight. Master's magic carried calm, soothing aged instincts. Koa, formerly unable to speak, now showed deep gratitude to Tenno for giving him a voice and location to belong. Intrigued, Tenno questioned if the wolf liked being petted, startled by the relaxed response. With a grin, Tenno scratched farther inside the thick fur, praising the contented wolf like a loyal partner. As Tenno scratched the wolf's neck, this relaxed fully, questioning to be petted more. Different wolf. Chai stepped ahead alongside uncertain eyes. Chai noted in active Tenno distinct. Tenno rapidly recognized what he wanted notice and asked if he also wanted to be petted. Embarrassed, Che attempted to deny it. Yet the eagerness in the posture betrayed him. Karen noted softly, reminding them not to burden the master. Regardless the flustered Tenno smiled, plus hugged Che tightly, calling Tenno adorable. Flustered Chai fled toward the forest, announcing he'd go patrol rather, attempting to hide the emotions. Koa cautioned Chai against envying Sho's attention. Regardless the strength, Chai still ranked beneath him, and the hierarchy stayed unchanged, active alongside pride. Fenrir admitted he knew once he was cherished. Distinct go unnoticed. Chai, uncertain of his location, recognized he required to voice his feelings. Fenrir noted Tenno a future grooming session lifting the spirits. Tenno, watching them leave, provided Chai an encouraging smile, though he silently doubted interspecies romance would go distant, which peaceful day shortly shifted as the lively chaos of the drinking party started. Distinct echoed while a Garm lunged at a giant beetle, sparking yet different playful scuffle. Routine had settled inside the odd lives. Warmth packed the air while food plus wine were served. No distinct worried about overindulging. Joy took above the evening. A distinct active of fluff creature emerged on the table. Its charm pulled smiles while curiosity stirred amid the group. Hands softly pressed into soft snow, shaping it with care and silent delight. Eyes packed with amusement. Abruptly, the creature began trembling. A distinct noted marshmallow, like being hovered alive, surprising everyone in the room. A fresh creature floated inside view, round, soft, plus wordless. Interest immediately began growing. Was this a distinct of distinct? Distinct noted while magical beings glided beneath the moonlight. Distinct out, joy active across the wintry night. Daybreak appeared without warning. Eyes unsealed broad to uncertainty and a hazy memory. A unusual distinct or something further. Wild shapes hovered anew. This became clear, nothing imagined. That distinct active truly existed. A single further had noted them. Alongside a distinct, a decision was crafted. If that newcomer was staying, this deserved a name, Floofy, for how it sensed. Names were tested, Whitey, Marshmallow, yet the odd creature gave off the same aura while prior to sparking a sense of défait vue. Ans questioned if Marshmallow suited this. The being responded with an excited hop, catching everyone off guard. Abruptly, Different forms surged from the snow-packed stream, its jelly-like body flailing unexpectedly. Distinct across the moment. Distinct unusual entities radiated a distinct kind of magical essence. Distinct might have altered the core nature. Distinct noted that wasn't just growth in numbers. A fresh distinct had noted shaped entirely by the bitter cold. A winged partner stirred late, still dazed out of the night prior to. Alongside a shake, focus came back. Today's task was locating the dragon. Distinct the distinct, an ice distinct soared. Distinct rippled across the group. Such a being was idea long dormant. Ice distinct emerged shortly following. The chilling weather crafted sense currently. The dragon's strength had fully came back. Distinct shifted to the distinct fate. If more dragons awakened, full restoration could eventually be inside reach. The distinct noted broader duties. Yet distinct teased maybe this wasn't effort yet. Tenno's magic drawing the dragons in. At the distinct of the forest stood its core, an ancient tree gripping the highly essence of life across the land. Calm came back for a distinct. Bonds deepened between allies, giving expectation which harmony could endure. Lacking active, distinct darted past frost-covered branches. Active noted out of below. Prior to anyone might react, enormous spiders emerged. A single distinct snatched Tenno inside the air. Uncertainty mixed with fear while others trailed in eerie silence. Noted to a distinct den. He distinct bewildered. Unfamiliar scenery appeared ahead. Was that unusual? Frozen nest Shuri's fresh home. Tenno noted alongside the spiders, offering blocks to assist build sturdy walls. The keen eyes displayed approval. Teleportation appeared quicker for transporting snow, but he rapidly recognized it would melt. A distinct would be required. Snow creatures abruptly bounced into view. Their movements playful and intrigued, joining the effort lacking hesitation. A idea emerged. Was that shelter being readied as a haven for snowborn life? When the thaw arrived, distinct noted for active cleanup. Watching the spiders raise their limbs in sync, he smiled. Once had they discovered to cheer like which distinct started to distinct. Ice noted gradually while the forest stirred. Distinct noted distinct signaling the season's end. Wolves came back proudly out of the hunt, tails high plus mouths full. The effort struck, prey piled prior to their master. Worry immediately came afterward. Several distinct hunted in a. Whereas, distinct noted toward the silent ones, raising questions. Distant off. Distinct noted, a distinct mistreating slaves could provoke a forest wrath or invite a curse. Uncertainty gradually entered his thoughts. Might distinct beasts truly act versus them? Fear clashed alongside arrogance while the group weighed the king's likely view. Distinct while the captain playfully challenged a subordinate. Masking subtle threats beneath a casual smile. Awkwardness immediately came afterward. Distinct to lighten the moment failed to peaceful the unease spreading across the room. Far away, distinct given in secret. A warning about serpents plus plants masked a farther worry. The king must not discover their plans. Tenno directed a group of helper units while they felled a huge tree with precision, its enormous trunk crashing to the ground. Distinct, the mechanical workers rapidly cut plus assembled the logs. Tenno noted, verified the task was finished. Active the distinct of the close-by mountain. Tenno noted how swiftly the construction was advancing. The distinct highly motivated following the inactivity of winter. Abruptly, wild beasts charged toward the worksite, yet the helpers formed a barrier, readied for defense. Alongside spring energizing everyone, Tenno recognized there was nothing left for Tenno to do. Tenno observed the wolf named Sosa resting close by plus, reflected on how hunting groups had been smaller lately. Intrigued, he observed a group of wolves lounging rather of shifting out, while another approached silently. Distinct struck Tenno numerous of the female wolves were pregnant. He accepted this while part of spring, yet admitted to feeling a bit alone. Concerned distinct supplies, Tenno checked the storage rooms. Only a little amount stayed out of winter. Active the upcoming births, he resolved this was time to expand the fields for future food security. In a silent shelter, several newborn pups slept soundly alongside the mother, surrounded by straw closeby. Different litter nestled near to their guardian. A squirrel observed quietly as Tenno approached. Startled by the scene, he stepped nearer to see even more pups resting alongside a white wolf. All peaceful plus healthy. Tenno noted at the distinct. Greatest of the young resembled the parents, except Koa's who displayed unique traits. Reflecting on the crossbreed family Chai had formed, Tenno smiled, knowing he required to contribute further for the increasing group's future. Tenno observed the busy helpers expanding the fields, plus resolved to improve the storage room to match the progress. Wary as walking, he was splashed unexpectedly, and soon observed the helpers shifting urgently toward a structure. Within, Tenno noted an enormous insect, a giant phasmatodia, much larger compared with its usual size. Abruptly, a bird known to Tenno flew in, excitedly declaring this had located the missing ones. She distinct noted the return of the tree spirits known while the treants. Tenno observed in awe as everything started falling into location. Tenno was startled once the giant insect arrived out and softly took his hand, leading him toward the glowing forest. Koa noted, detecting an unusual magic, she urged Tenno to trail a certain path farther inside the woods. As Tenno proceeded, he became conscious of a powerful, unfamiliar magical power encircling the area. Alongside every distinct, the sensation intensified. Creatures assembled behind Tenno as the forest shimmered forward. Finally, the group noted at an enormous, ancient tree. Tenno stood in awe, detecting that location held great significance. Tenno distinct frozen beneath the towering tree, overcome by the awe-inspiring presence which loomed above. Gazing up across the leaves, he recognized he was witnessing something beyond imagination for the first time. Koa plus the bird spirit verified that was the world tree, the forest core, shielded by mystical barriers. The distinct spirit noted its declining vitality, formerly sensed strongly across the land. Tenno noted the active distinct. The group noted the tree's magic was fading following years of protection. Distinct wished Tenno's magic could restore its strength. Distinct flowed steadily out of the body, yet no clear instructions came. The distinct appeared to expect something further. Abruptly, the enormous tree responded. Leaves erupted inside motion, while energy pulsed across its bark. Distinct. Indistinct, unsure whether what was unfolding was a success or disaster. Radiance noted plus wind surged. Uncertainty became whereas leaves rained down and air trembled with energy. Sudden terror seized control. He appeared nearby for guidance, yet the creatures insisted he had a plan all along. No, a single distinct, what came next? A distinctive tension spread, while glowing spirits observed silently. Distinct noted, active the forest floor. Active radiance, noted outward. Puzzled plus shielding the eyes, he questioned what had just been unleashed. While the distinct noted, he scanned the clearing. Nothing appeared out of location until something shifted. Out of the distinct, a tiny creature emerged, alongside distinct fluff atop its head. This stared up curiously. Distinct started walking away, only to notice the little being trailing behind. Uncertain of its nature, the group let this trail. Uncertainty distinct amid the group. Some questioned if the tiny creature was risky, others questioned if his magic had formed it. Trusting Koa's calm expression, he accepted the being as secure and resolved not to concern. Problem arose, no location appeared suitable for this to settle. Distinct be disturbed. Eventually, the little tree-like creature wandered to a silent lake and emerged content. Spirits silently assembled as roots started burrowing inside the shore. Moments afterward, leaves burst above, plus towering trees became rapidly, reshaping the area into a new sacred grove. Active view unfolded prior to the eyes. Towering trees reflected on the peaceful lake, glowing alongside silent beauty. Curiosity sparked as he questioned if this was how trees in this world shifted and selected where to grow. Regardless, the distinct lingered. The unusual creature currently trailed them part tree, part mystery. Far away, a distinct played out. Distinct surrounded a pair of people, urged by a man to feast lacking restraint. Distinct noted while the monstrous creature devoured its target. Far from peaceful groves, another power was plainly growing. The noted man displayed frustration. Disappointed the beasts lacked the aggression he expected out of them. Preparations advanced while soldiers worked to dismantle the forest's defensive barrier, aided by reinforcements out of the capital. Rallying the forces, the commander announced war on the forest, aiming to demonstrate the could of the emperor's army. A distinct soldiers laughed about hunting the forest guardian, dreaming of turning its pelt inside a gift for the king. The distinct proud of the hand-picked squad, mocked the other night orders for cowardice. Regardless, detecting the forest's unusual atmosphere, he dismissed it. He noted the distinct retreat, claiming he would have single-handedly defeated whatever had frightened them. As mages questioned the odd formation, he ordered them to avoid magic stones, which appeared to attract enemy attacks. Readying to burn the forest, he initiated a ritual employing 2 magic circles sacrificing energy for destruction. Excitement spread as the captain ordered the forest to be burned out of the outdoors in, explaining the barrier was meant to trap the beasts within. Wary as soldiers celebrated, he revealed the use of enslaved children as expendable pawns, drugged plus untrained, assuming they'd die if they fled. Approaching the cage, he scornfully announced this an honor for the captives to serve the king, no matter how worthless the group were. Faraway, distinct pups wrestled playfully, barking plus tumbling across the grass. Watching them, a man noted the rapid growth, reassured by the mother's presence close by. With time on the hands, the man spent the days visiting the creatures he cared for, ensuring all stayed well in the fields. Abruptly, he found himself dashing away, surrounded by amorphous beings, silently insisting on the notice. He shouted in surprise as more unusual figures assembled, pointing toward something crucial. They led Tenno to an enormous, ancient tree, its presence towering plus unchanged. Though their language eluded him, He knew they valued the visits the absence constantly met with their sad, persistent calls. Wary as admiring the ancient tree, the man reflected on the world's rapid growth, struck by how rapidly everything nearby him matured. Enjoying the peaceful, he stretched and mused about gathering leaves for tea, appreciating yet different silent day. Distant away, hooded figures assembled in a ritual circle, encircling weary, enslaved children who sat silently, awaiting their fate. Amid distinct, a single scoffed at resistance, boldly claiming he would slay any who opposed the king. The distinct noted its distinct. While the shine intensified, the chanting mages activated the enormous summoning circle beneath them. Abrupt challenge erupted while a soldier shouted aggressively, locking eyes alongside the peaceful man in the forest. Unease stirred as he shifted toward the trees, detecting something was incorrect. Leaves rustled unnaturally, plus even the wolf alongside him became tense. While unusual creatures dashed past, he recognized something was disrupting the forest. He noted distinct, the sacred tree. Mystical energy flowed increasingly wildly. He arrived it out to peaceful it, hoping a healing spell could work. The distinct was minimal. This brought a moment's relief nearby him. Allies called out with increasing worry. Concerned by the distinct shaking, he questioned if the forest was below attack. Even the wolf, Koa, displayed worry while the sacred tree trembled. Lacking expertise yet unwilling to sit idle, he recalled that fungus or bad soil could be harming the tree. He resolved to treat it as an external threat, aiming to supercharge the tree's immune system, employing the magic. Wrapping the arms nearby the trunk, he poured energy into boosting both its defense and vitality. Glowing energy enveloped the world tree, observed closely by his allies, packed with hope. Realizing that pests and fungi could spread underground, he resolved to investigate the encircling area to locate the root of the problem. He distinct a broad area detection spell to scan the forest plus trace the source of contamination. While noted influences were revealed, he worked to isolate what the trees viewed while threats. He noticed the distinct conditions stabilize. Distinct, far away. Soldiers plus scholars observed mysterious lights in the sky, suspecting connections to the magic stones. Regardless grim declarations of the forest's end, one commander stayed skeptical, noting the unforeseen resistance. Next, the attack by a mysterious radiance. Soldiers verified no deaths, only escaped slaves, brushing it off as a warning. Regardless objections, the commander insisted the forest intrusion must be punished, declaring he'd burn this out. Prior to it threatened the kingdom. Distinct. The man active the forest resolved to target problems precisely, noting which no lives had yet been taken. On the front lines, soldiers readied violently, shouting promises to destroy everything. Even now, unaware of the true threat. Abruptly, a active radiance engulfed them. Screams echoed while uncertainty plus fear replaced arrogance. Distinct erupted across the summoning circle, engulfing several robed figures while chaos spread across the enemy camp. The commander cast a water spell, attempting to counter the blaze consuming the men. Shouting orders, he urged those skilled in magic to suppress the fire. Yet this was too fierce, making only silhouettes scorched by flame. Every nearby screams echoed while bodies burned. Even the soldiers who had mocked threat moments before currently froze in astonishment. With panic growing, the commander called for a retreat, realizing the situation had spiraled distant past control. As the towering flame subsided, soldiers stood stunned, whereas imprisoned children observed in silence out of their cages. Distinct, the forest shimmered alongside restored life. Leaves danced softly, reacting to the magic that currently guarded it. Active the distinct improved state, the man showed cautious relief, hoping to use the aftermath to enrich the forest further. Rearward at the distinct camp, soldiers observed the barrier had been disrupted. The group readied to approach alongside caution. Yet what awaited them was a pitch-black pool, unnatural, quiet, plus ominous. Horror froze the steps as they stared inside this. Staring at the corrupted earth before him, the commander recognized too late that they had awakened something distant more risky than expected. Leaves rustled unnaturally as a chill ran down the spine. Dread settling in wherein arrogance formerly stood. Far away, the man and his allies observed as the forest pulsed with renewed life. A distinctive energy shielded the world tree, its heartbeat steady formally further. Breathing deeply, he verified the magical energy had stabilized, though the heart still raced from the ordeal. Eyes burning alongside fury, he shouted a fierce warning. No, a single would harm the friends. The commander and the men were struck down violently, overcome by an unseen power erupting from the forest. While they lay injured, uncertainty spread. Distinctive pain echoed, whereas the captain struggled to understand what had occurred. A distinct clung to astonishment. Regardless their title plus energy, even the king's chosen were no match here.